What a remarkable drive, man. That's an All-American drive right here.
It's not exactly unwarranted. Like, you have a guy at his dad electric.
The legend himself, the GOAT, Dre Crowell.
Where my warm bottle movement at?
That kills your argument right there. Anything can happen. This game is not over.
What's good, Relocation Football League fans? It's your boy Smitty, as always, here with the RFL Weekly Podcast. I had to move it back a day since I tried to do a little bit extra. Still wanted to do more, but hey, we should definitely still have ourselves a good podcast. I got my man Bill and Rob, of course, as always, on the show here with me. So, I know it's been a little while since we had some RFL content for you guys, but this should be a very informative podcast to let you guys know what's been going on during the offseason. So before we get into it, Bill, Rob, what's your thoughts just all in general, coming into this point of the season, getting close to that point to where, the season's officially over, we'll draft our players and then, college series, just the whole point that we are right now here at the RFL.
Oh man, I love this time of year, man. This is tied with games to me. I love the off season and the draft type and everything that comes with it. So I'm loving it right now.
Yeah, man. I'm the same. I feel the same as Bill. It's a lot of backstabbing going on out there. It's a lot of behind the scenes dealings going on out there. A lot of teams are getting better. A lot of teams are getting worse. And you already know I got to keep it real, man. There's a lot of lone wolves right now looking to make their ascent into season 7. So, I'm going to leave that at that, man. We'll discuss everything that's been going on, man.
Hey, before we also get into this, I want to go and ask you guys, the guys who are watching, did you guys hear double on the music on that? I just want to make sure, because I remember the last time I did a podcast, I was hearing like a little bit of an echo.
I thought I heard that. I thought I was going crazy.
Yeah,
I heard that too. I think it's because you had you might have had the computer mic open, or not the computer speakers open, and the OBS.
I was looking at two things, but I'm thinking like, is that reading that? But is it just playing double? Just want to make sure, like, if they hear it too. Still had the echo. Okay, cool.
Echo.
I know what to do for next time then. But appreciate you guys for letting me know that. But let's go ahead and get into, of course, the big start of this one, free agency. We're first starting off with the two biggest names, community-wise, that jumped into free agency that coaches was looking to sign, and both of them ended up in the same spot in London with the Bulldogs. You had Jay Morris, who's a former Bison's running back, been there with them since I think it was the first stretch since season 3, and we had that little fiasco issue. But this guy, finding himself a home, still unsure of, the situation on if is he going to be the starter? I'm not sure of that. I saw Coach Reed put a little podcast out himself in a video on his channel about, his views and stuff on what he's going to do with this team. I believe I saw him there talking with Jay Morris. And then, of course, the big name coming in free agency was Duke Pascal, but two community members joining forces on the same team, the London Bulldogs. London Bulldogs, this is going to be a team we're going to talk about a lot in this podcast. What's your guys' thoughts on this?
I think it's a big power move, and obviously, I have some information that I gathered throughout the day from some people, so I'll let Rob go first, and then if anything, we can, if you want to just dive right into the interviews.
Gotcha.
Yeah, when I saw this, it shocked me, man, because you already know when I saw Duke Pascal out there, I already went on the hunt, man. I love me some linebackers, and this guy's just been such a terror in my division. Kind of glad he's out of my division now. Might make the Huskies a little bit easier now, but you never know. Hopefully, I'll hoard all the linebackers before the Huskies try to draft one in the draft here. But anyway, yeah, man. I got a little side story that this is a bit of a move, man. I'm really surprised. My boy Drew Brewer, man. A lot of guys like him. Community guy and everything, and I heard he was doing his recruiting and everything, man. I said, man, this guy couldn't get a sack, but he chased these boys down, man. Got both of these boys on the same team. So hopefully he has that same energy for next season, because I was like, I said, man, this is they landed both of them. It's crazy, man.
Shot.
So big shot, man. Yep.
And these guys actually, both of them, I got a chance to get a couple of questions in with both Jay Morris and Duke Pascal earlier today about, just the whole process. And I'm going to go ahead and go over those questions and what they gave me back. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with Jay Morris, the former Bison's running back. I just got to find his spot here. I got it all printed out. All right. So I asked Jay, I said, hey, man, you've been with the Bisons now for, just your whole career. And obviously there's been some inconsistencies up and down times there with the Bisons. And I straight up asked him, I said, is the inconsistency something that caused you to decide to take your talents elsewhere? Or was it maybe just wanting a sort of a new look, I guess, or a new scene to play in? And this is what he told me. He said, it was sort of a mixture of both. It was ultimately the multiple inconsistencies the Bisons had. The main inconsistency that prompted me to leave was the fact that the organization couldn't keep a coach for the length of a season. Throughout my time there was 4 different coaches: Augusto, Landry, Gore, and Long. I chose the Bulldogs because Reed is a good coach, and he won't be leaving anytime soon. The inconsistency from an execution standpoint also influenced my decision. Whether we're in a singular game or like the half of a game, we just couldn't seem to put it all together for a full game all the time, and never been to the playoffs throughout my time there. And after discussing that, I asked him about his free agency experience, and I just asked him about the landing spots that he had. And I asked him, I said, did you know from the beginning that, the Bulldogs were the team, or were you closing in on another team or whoever else was in the mix? And he said that he actually had a lot of interest from the Aviators. Mm-hmm. And he honestly thought he was going to be an Aviator when free agency started. And it wasn't until the very end that he decided to go to the Bulldogs instead. So that's something that I don't think any of us knew. Yeah, well, maybe you did, Smitty.
Yeah, I was about to add on to that. I might as well add on to it now since you brought it up. But a funny situation was, me and Bees, we was waiting for this guy to come up with his decision. He had his in early. He told us, he said, hey, I want to be an Aviator. So we're just like, all right. So we're making an Aviators graphic for him. Okay, he's going to go to Columbus. And then right when I send him the message, when I send him the graphic, let him know, like, okay, you can post this now, make your announcement. He says, I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna do something else. And I know Bees was kind of sick because he was like, man, I made this fire graphic and now you're not going. He could have told me that. So after I did that, I knew right then that he was probably going to change his mind. I kind of felt like he might have stayed or whatever, but I was shocked though to find out, that he was going to the Bulldogs as well. Which honestly, I feel like he's kind of in the same spot. Both those teams right there got some pretty solid backs that I'm pretty sure they want to rock with still as starters. That could split some time if they have to. But even looking at the dynamics of things, I do feel like the Bulldogs may be the better spot for him because of the way in which they try to utilize their backs. And we know that Wheaton, he's a solid power, kind of a balanced type of guy. He's very young. And, to have Jay Morris there to fill in at times, it really does leave for a lot of questions, though. They got 3 backs now. Vic Cage, he is a big-time playmaker. Going to be interesting to see how he utilizes those 3 backs.
And that's actually one of the things that I asked him, too. I said, with your history on the Bisons and them not being the most winningest franchise in RFL history, and no offense to the Bulldogs, but we know they've had ups and downs, too. And I said, what made you choose the Bulldogs, who have had some similar ups and downs? And he said it was all based on the potential. The potential is what sold him. And he said the Bisons have a lot of older players, and he felt like they do have a couple of cornerstone pieces like Torres and Payne, but he felt the rebuild was going to take longer than he was willing to wait out. And he thought the Bulldogs, while they are younger, seem to have more pieces in place for that rebuild to not take as long. With knowing Pascal was going, Brewer, the offensive line, he believes that they are set up for more success down the line quicker than the Bisons, and that's what ultimately made his decision for him. I also asked him about the role. You mentioned the role there, and I brought that up. I said the team drafted, Matt Wheaton a couple of years ago. They have a guy like Vic Cage getting some playing time last year. Do you know what your role is going to be? What's the situation like? And he says it is going to be a 3-back system, and his role isn't set in stone yet. He knows he's the number 2. He says he knows he might not be the guy right away, and he said he's okay with that. He just wants to win, and he feels that with the guys they have back there, that it might help him perform better during the times that he does get on the field, and it'll just help the offense altogether be better overall. And those are the questions that I talked to. Actually, I forgot. I asked him a follow-up question after he mentioned the aviator thing, because I didn't know that he was almost that close to being an aviator. And I asked him, I said, well, what swung you to London? And he said, the pitch that Reed gave me was really good. I can be moved around into many roles based off of our conversation, talking about him and Coach Reed. And as I told him, I'm not looking to be the starter. I'm looking to go to a team where I can contribute heavily and compete for a playoff spot or even a championship. The Aviators would have been able to do that, but it already looked like my role was already set in stone, the replacement to Lusk, and taking up those carries. I also wanted to team up with Duke. I think it was right after last week's podcast that we sort of talked, and we thought about the idea of maybe, teaming up of some sort. And that was another pitch that I liked, and the Bulldogs were heavily going after him. And after talking to Reed, it sounded like a good fit for both of us, so I decided to go to the Bulldogs.
Nice. That's nice. So you got to talk to Pascal as well? Or?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
I also talked to Duke Pascal about it. I just got to find his spot. Here we go. And sort of the same series of questions, but on a little bit different note, because as we know, Pascal came from pretty good team for historically and currently. Maybe not so much currently last year, but they were still known as a very successful franchise. Mm-hmm. And I just asked him, what made your decision to leave? And he said, what made me decide to leave Toronto was that I really didn't like me playing outside linebacker. I wanted to join a team where I could play middle linebacker full time, and I felt that my role last season didn't fit my skill set. So I wanted to go to another team where I could play in the middle full time and play similar to how I did in prior seasons. And I also just wanted a change of scenery. And then I asked him about his free agency experience, and was it difficult to decide where he would ultimately end up going? He said it was interesting. He said he wasn't used to a lot of people sending him messages like that. But it was really difficult. There was so many good options. And at first he couldn't decide on what team because there was just so many, and he wanted to make the best decision for himself. And I think he took up until like the last moment to make a decision, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Then I asked,
because was it when Bison? I said Bison. Jay had 3, and he had 2, twice as many decisions that he could have chose from. The 6 teams he had, of course, was the Bulldogs, which he ultimately decided to go. He had the Black Knights, Dreadnoughts, Voyagers, Cougars, and Aviators. So, I mean, this was a highly sought-after player. And
who, Jay? Or you think Pascal? About Pascal. Ain't nobody want no Jay. Talk about, man. I ain't want no Jay. Okay, go.
But yeah, that I just wanted to bring that up because I know this was a great experience for him, just wanting to go somewhere, and I kind of felt like he kind of was letting me know, if I'm not mistaken, like a year before, that he kind of didn't want to be there. Then just as much as it was inconsistencies at coaches for the Bisons, it kind of was the same way for the Huskies. You had a new guy even come in this year, and he quickly fell off, and things were out of order. And once it got changed, the team started winning and stuff again. So I think both of these guys just really wanted to go somewhere where, they were going to actually, flip and change the tide of, the RFL, where we're starting to, get more people rolling in here, and to actually, build the first, like, really full team full of users,
And I only had one more question from him, and pretty much the same thing I asked Jay. I just asked him, what made you choose the Bulldogs over all the other teams? Because as we know, there's a long list of guys, hammering for this guy to come to their team. Mm-hmm. And he said, I chose the Bulldogs over all the other teams that were interested in me for many reasons. One was because of the high potential. So again, here we hear that potential again that we heard from Jay. Their team is one of the youngest in the league, and they have a young talent on defense, like Brewer, for example. They also have high draft picks, which means they could draft better defensive players, or whoever else they bring to the team. And the Bulldogs were around last in defense in Season 6, and I wanted to sign with them and help improve their defense. Coach Reed told me that he was going to build the defense around me, which is great because I wanted to play at middle linebacker and also be a centerpiece of the defense, which I can do with the Bulldogs. With the other teams that were interested, all of them were playoff teams. And so I felt that I was more valuable to the Bulldogs compared to the other teams. And that's pretty much the gist of what he said. So it sounds like, almost wonder if maybe after that title win that they got a couple years ago, if he just sort of ran his course in Toronto, he wanted to do it again somewhere else.
Yeah, that's kind of how it sounds, you know. And then, like you said, the last couple of years since they won that championship, these guys have not been able to get back to the playoffs and fell literally a game short in the last 2 years. And then you talk about the London Bulldogs, we talk about a team that just got that potential, but these guys have also been in a huge slump. They have not been to the playoffs since they won it all in the first ever season of the RFL. And, you know, Coach Reed's been really trying to make it his case to try to get them back to that moment. It has not happened yet. Of course, this was a downer season this year for them, but getting these pieces, you know, and the moves that they've made that we're going to be talking about even more as this podcast goes on, you know, it really puts a lot of interest around this team and eyes to see, you know, will this be the year that they at least be able to get back to that spot and make some noise? So we'll have to see, of course, come next year. But anything you want to say, Rob, about these two guys before I move on?
Oh man, just congrats to them, both of them, longtime RFLers, and hopefully that works out for them next season.
And shout out to Kai Cash for the $9.99 donation there. Say shout out to Season 7 draft class. We will be one of the best draft classes ever. You can put straight cash on that. We appreciate the cash, my guy.
Was the pun intended there?
I think it was.
If so, it's cool.
Yeah, let's get the hashtag Reload Gangs in the chat there for my guy Cash, man. But moving on, these were, you know, of course, the big known names that people know in the community. Let's go ahead and talk about other players known in the community, not maybe as actual players, but just big names in the RFL in general that were notable free agents that got signed. So first, we start off with DJ Scott, and you know, I got myself a little video that we could play here for DJ Scott. Ooh. So DJ Scott, you know, was an absolute beast for the Snowhawks, but he kind of really took a backseat this year for them in a multiple dual back system. Well, three back system really. Had 702 yards, 6 touchdowns, but he had a 5.2 yard per carry average this season. This guy was just an absolute beast throughout the season, but just really wasn't getting his touches. You know, Coach already made it known that, you know, he wasn't going to be the guy moving forward. He got himself hurt. He's actually trying to trade him during the season, but at least got to play his final season with the Snowhawks, got all the way to the Reload Bowl. We already know how that ended up, but, you know, it was a huge storyline. Where was he going to go? And the San Diego Red Dragons are the team to pick him up. What is your thoughts on this move?
That's a power move right there by Coach Davis and the Red Dragons, I think. That was, I mean, obviously Bobo has been a very talented running back for that team for a long time, but, you know, we've seen the injuries and we know that he regressed, and this is like a missing piece to a big puzzle, in my opinion, for this offense. Now there is no other questions to worry about. It's what can Anthony Savoy do for the team, because we know that the running back position is secured at this point.
Yeah, man. I've known Davis for an awful long time, man, and I'm proud of knowing this guy. This is just a stand-up, classy guy who understands football. When I brought him over here to the RFL, I knew he'd be perfect for the RFL. I have a story that I tell every once in a while to people. When I was playing PS1, PS2 leagues, or whatever it was with Coach Davis, he would always take the Cleveland Browns, and this is when the Cleveland Browns were they're still terrible, but this is when they were like terrible, right? And he would take that team, man, and build that team up off the draft alone, not signing any guys out of free agency or anything. He would just build that team up, man, and that team would always end up becoming like the team to beat in our league of 30, 31, 32 other coaches and everything. And this what Bill just said here. You know, I was, you know, as we get to know each other as coaches, I'm hoping that coaches are learning strategies toward stopping other coaches from dominating. Because I think that's important. We've been, as you guys know, we've been trying to break the helping hand culture here with coaching. And what just happened here is somebody messed up. Either on the NRC side, the ARC side, whatever it is, somebody messed up. Somebody didn't go get DJ Scott accurately. And, you know, it could be anybody. We were just talking about Jay Morris. I don't think Jay Morris has anything on DJ Scott. maybe the Bulldogs should have had DJ Scott, right? Like, there's many different scenarios where this guy could have gone to teams and they let the Red Dragons get him. And so I'm telling you right now, man, this right here is probably the biggest signing in my opinion, man. This is the biggest signing. This now gives the Red Dragons a devastating back who can run every single down, all game long. He's healthy. I believe he has a better injury rating than CJ Bobo, and definitely gonna feel his wrath here on the Red Dragons.
And then even talking about CJ Bobo, he's not even a part of the Red Dragons anymore. He actually got released into free agency, so he is like no longer a part of a team, and probably won't be. It might be the end of CJ Bobo. Just came off a great season too. Had over, if I'm not mistaken, was it over 1,300 yards, 16, something like it. It was definitely over 1,000 yards. The guy was an absolute beast this year, but took a slightly, slight heavy regression this year. Dropped to, I believe it was an 80 overall, and he got saved off an upgrade, so he would have been a 79. And that's tough, but that's the stage in which we're getting to now here in the RFL. A lot of big name guys. We already thought that Dre was going to retire, but that didn't happen. But he's not going to be starting no more. A lot of other players are about to take a back seat here soon, and to have DJ Scott step up in that role, I really feel like this was a huge power move for the San Diego Red Dragons, because we saw how he was able to run with CJ Bobo. Bobo was more of a balanced guy. Sometimes he hit you with the power. He's more so elusive though at times, but he could be that every down back. Now you got that every down back here with power, and he's got some pretty decent speed too, that can catch you off guard. So seeing the Red Dragons with this running back now, I just think that they're just going to be even more dangerous.
Yo, can I just why do we gotta keep putting them stiff arms in his highlights though? Like,
I mean, they did your guy dirty, man.
You gotta knock that off.
I see I lost it. Someone said it's a slight upgrade. I'm not sure if they meant that literally or if that's being used as slang. It's definitely not a slight upgrade, but maybe they're using slight in slang, Smitty. Like it's a slight upgrade. Like they're using it like not meaning literally, right? Because it's not a slight upgrade in the slightest. Like, first of all, there's a 4-year gap between the two. DJ Scott is younger, and he's definitely like 11 points or 12 points higher overall than CJ Bobo. And on top of that, the injury rating.
Yeah, that was the issue with CJ as well.
Yeah.
And shout out to Christian Williams for the $10 donation. Says, coaches just ignore my combine. Being the underdog is what drives me. I love the RFL hashtag or #flash. We'll see, my guy. What you was gonna say? You were about to say something, Bill?
Yeah, stop playing this highlight tape, man.
Hey, we were still talking about DJ Scott, man. It wasn't my fault that he punched on your boys. And
there's like 3 plays in here. All right,
those stiff arms weren't mean. Those stiff arms weren't mean though.
I plead the 5th.
All right, so. Yeah, that DJ Scott, huge signing right there. Let's go ahead and get to look at the other guys on this list. I couldn't make, the highlights for, the rest of these guys. Talking about Cornell Mickens, he had a down year, so really wasn't, worth me going back trying to find some highlights and things for him, with the Wizards. Was I believe just barely over 400 yards rushing on the season. Got benched during the season, even turned into a return guy at some point. So, to be honest, just looking for a big year out of Cornell Mickens. He's been bounced around. Where his downfall really came from was when, the Thunderbirds signed him back when Coach Kosera was there and didn't utilize him. And, they had this great back sitting there, and they ended up letting him go. And then, you got them getting signed getting taken by the Wizards, and then they can't figure out what to do with him. And now here he is getting signed by the Condors. And I think this is a great fit, because as we've seen, the Condors and power backs have not been great. When they had Ronnie Nickens, it just did not seem to fit their style or their players. And, that they suffered tremendously in the run game for that. But we saw elusive backs like Buki Johnson, even Sanchez Lawrence, who they, gave the bulk of the carries and stuff like that to this season, be more successful. But they never had that number one guy to run the rock. And now that they got Cornell Mickens, this is the 95 overall running back. We've seen the down year from him this past season, but we know what he's capable of. We can even think back to those times when he was with the Shamrocks where he originally started. This guy was just an absolute beast. And even for the Thunderbirds, he could have been something special, just was not used. And so, I think this is a huge pickup for the Condor, because now I think this is going to give them a more consistent running game and something to fear even more on offense, even though their offense was already feared with the pass game. But like I said, there was inconsistencies at the run game at times. They really didn't have a true number one back, had to keep splitting things up. But now that Mickens is here and he can do all those things, I think teams are really going to have to worry about him. And, of course, those other guys like Sanchez, Lawrence, and Buki Johnson having to check in certain situations when he's tired. But you guys got anything to talk about that move?
I'm just not really sure what to say, because like we haven't seen something out of him in so long, but it's such a huge signing. I feel like it's going to go as an under the radar signing, just because a good majority of the guys who are here right now probably don't even know what Mickens was like when he was really good. You know what I mean? Because of the situation in Orlando and the situation in Toronto. But overall, I hope this works, because the Condors have tried every other situation when it comes to their running game, and none of them have worked so far. This has to be it. If this doesn't work, I don't know what they're going to do. They just might as well start running spread with no running backs, because if they can't make Mickens work, they couldn't make Nickens work, they couldn't make Johnson work, I think it's over for him. So hopefully this works out, and I hope Mickens can get back to his spot before he hits that age wall and is pushed out of the league eventually.
Yeah, definitely a bruising back. Coming in, for them. So like I just don't know if I don't know if I believe that the back is the only problem with the Condors. We saw a lot of sloppy defensive play out of the team, and so but anytime you get a player, anytime you get another player. And a player obviously of this kind of caliber, it usually means that you have some improvement, obviously in that area. So we'll see if that's going to help them at all. But I just think that the Condors, I'm just going to say it, man. It's nothing against Coach Laramie that was here, man. I'm not going to keep holding my feelings back on how I really feel. But I just kind of think that this team was like hastily put together, and really there was really no like some guys put teams together strategically, right? And you can see that when you go and look at the team. This team is kind of pieced together, right? It's kind of like you don't really know what it's known for, and I think that that's an issue that really needs to be put out there, is that this is just another attachment. Like this is like a big Lego set, but you're not really building the Lego item that's on the box. You're just putting pieces together, and it's clunky and it's heavy on certain sides, right? And you got Ray out here getting ran over and everything because he's trying to do it all, right? And so I'm just keeping it real, man. This team needs to rebuild the right way. It needs to be built around schemes, right? The strength of the team, and I think that that's going to allow the Condors to flourish, man. Rest in peace to Samuel Roundtree, wherever he's at.
I think he's in free agency still.
Yeah, he took if I'm not mistaken, he took a kind of a hit coming into this season.
Unfortunate, man, because he was such an up and coming wide receiver, and just yikes.
Yeah, the big thing, like we already know, is definitely that defense. Hopefully, that's something that can get addressed. That I'm pretty sure, that I know there's some Sacramento fans, maybe not in the chat at the moment, but that they're looking for, because like you brought up even about Ray, first round draft pick, we saw what type of playmaker he was, and constantly seeing him kind of get exposed. But this is a rookie first year in the RFL, and he has no linebacker help, and guys are just literally getting to the third level running the football just about every time, and he's got to deal with the likes of powerful backs like DJ Scott and other power backs within the league. And it really was it looked like a bad year for him, but it was just a bad year for the defense, like you said, without having those pieces, without having something to support this team, because we saw how dynamic the offense of the Condors were. Even though they had the inconsistent run game, Chase McCoy, you kind of feel for the guy, because what type of what caliber quarterback he is and what he's been able to do with this team. But so many games lost because the defense have not been able to support him. And they add this back, that should even allow them I'd have to say to possibly get even more points offensively, but the defense is definitely the area where the rebuild needs to be made here for the Sacramento Condors. And moving on to the next signee, you had Kadron Lusk getting picked up. I got a video for him. This guy, very interesting back. Started out as a rookie in the RFL in season 1 with the Columbus Aviators. And, he's just a playmaker. And you can see on these plays right here, that is just an amazing play. He's made a lot of those. He can do everything. If it wasn't for Kingston Kenny just coming up on the rise and taking over the spot at the moment, which you can still see, he got a lot of touches this year. The guy literally, I think that's off there. It's talking about the Cougars. I did not change the bottom line there. But honestly, this guy had over 960 yards on the ground. I think it was 962 yards total, and that's receiving and rushing the football, and 9 touchdowns. So to be a backup to Kingston Kenny and to record that type of stat line, this is a do-it-all back, and he's going to the Oklahoma City Bisons, a place where Jay Morris just left, and I think that just significantly upgrades the backfield for him. We already know that Torres is going to be the starting quarterback now. It's going to be extremely interesting because I think he's going to make this offense even more that much more dynamic in what he's able to bring to the table.
This is another really, really big move, and a guy that I, for one, haven't really ever known as being the main guy, because ever since I've been here, it's been Kingston Kenny. But he's always is making plays, man. And this is a big, big addition for the Bisons that I think is definitely going to pay off. It's not always when you have a guy that leaves because they just don't want to play for you anymore that you actually upgrade the position when you're not expecting it. But I feel like they did here. No offense to Jay at all. It's just Kadron Lusk is a special back, and I think he's going to help Torres out quite a bit in his first full season as a starter. Well, sort of. I know he had some starting in the past, but you know what I mean. Now that this is officially his team, I think this will be a big help to him.
Yeah, man. All I could do is just applaud, man. I'm just happy to have one of these guys off of the Aviators, man. I've been having to deal with these pesky Aviators for a long time, man. Kingston Kenny and Kadron Lusk, man. Both of them, I don't even understand how they have superhuman powers that they do as halfbacks. But all I know is that now one of them is gone and he's shipped off to the Bison somewhere, and he'll probably do really well out there. Hopefully we don't have to play them at all. And everything, but yeah, man, yeah, it's unfortunate. You got to get rid of guys. I'm gonna tell you though, man, and no offense to anybody, Kingston Kenny and Kadron Lusk have been the Aviators, period. They have been the Aviators, and now all of a sudden they don't have them. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they decide to fill that hole. I know they got some other signings and everything, so I'll leave that there. I won't get into that just now. But the biggest, strongest thing about the Aviators to this point has been the left and right combo out of the backfield from Kingston Kenny and Kadron Lusk. And what was crazy was that Russell Renez never even got a chance to even be molded into that situation. Now they got Marquise Washington, who's obviously a much better player than Russell Renez, and he's looking like the future of the league as well as in quarterback, and look like he's going to win several Reload Bowls and all this other great stuff. But now you've kind of taken away the other guy, So now it's like, okay, you've gotten rid of, and sometimes you think like, oh, I've got 2 backs, I can get rid of one. But sometimes both of those players make you so ferocious, allow you to keep being consistent on the ground and such and such. And I'm just going to be honest, these are 2 battering rams, right? That they were able to use all game long. And these guys, man, I'm telling you, I'm just happy they're not on the Aviators anymore. I'm happy that one of them's gone now. Now I only got to focus on shutting down this guy and, some other things. So from a coach perspective, I'm very excited about that. From a analyst perspective, big shout out to the Oklahoma City Bisons for upgrading the position.
Yeah, and just to even talk more on it, I mean, these guys already had themselves a good backfield of youthful guys also in Oklahoma that was backing up Jay Morris. They just drafted last season Trishan Price he was at West Virginia. He ended at West Virginia, started out as his career at Florida State and transferred early in the college series. And, he actually got a chance to step in at times for Jay, especially at the time where he got injured. And so, like, it looks like the Bisons got themselves a really solid stable of backs here, especially with Kadron Lutz coming into the fold. And so it's going to be, you got to worry about the run game all around now, I feel, for OKC. And of course, they have those electric receivers that can make plays all day. I think the big question now comes, what is the play of Joseph Torres going to be? We've seen those inconsistencies. He was a rookie at the time. His second year, of course, he got beat out in the preseason by Devin Hobart, but now this is his year to play. Is he going to be somewhat more consistent? Has he developed? Is he ready for the moment? We'll find out next season, but Kadron Lutz is definitely going to be that guy to help him out. But moving on to other names, Colt Cruz getting signed to the Columbus Aviators. Now, we could talk about this year. This has been a guy since coming in the league has just not been the guy as advertised to be, but we have also, known that this guy, in my opinion, has not been used in the correct areas. You've seen him with the gunners on the outside, just trying to make plays out there, and, sometimes throwing in the slot didn't work out for him, but even though he's a 91 overall guy, just has not been seen to be used in the right spots for his previous teams. You got Marquise Washington here and everything else, and you don't have that number one receiver. So, what do you guys think about this move with Colt Cruz? Obviously the highest overall player now on this team as a receiver here.
Rob, you want to kick this one off? You know this team a lot better than I do.
Yeah, man. No, I'm not. I'm just gonna be honest, man. It's a nice move. They get an excellent slot guy, but I mean, Jabri Jackson couldn't solve Colt Cruz. Who was the guy out there in the Lancers?
Trey Mason.
Trey Mason couldn't save Colt Cruz. Maybe Marquise Washington can save Colt Cruz, man. maybe that's what's gonna happen here. I mean, I just where I'm at right now with this is it's a big, it looks really like a really big imposing slot guy who has had multiple opportunities on passing teams to get the ball and to be successful, and he just hasn't been successful, man. Hey, you can't talk down on the Aviators anymore, man. You can't say the Aviators just the Aviators that. So, but I'm also just not gonna jump on the bandwagon. Y'all know I'm not gonna jump on the bandwagon to say, oh, the Aviators, they got Colt Cruz, they're going to the promised land now. But I do think that it's a good addition. I mean, it's a welcome addition. The guy is he's a good he has good numbers, and as you mentioned, Smitty, and we've all mentioned before, as long as maybe he's just, I know he's supposed to be in the slot because I played the game. Right? If I played the game, I know that the story behind Colt Cruz is that he was the number one guy in high school, and then he went to the pros and he became the slot guy, and he was supposed to play the slot, and that's what he's supposed to be. He's not supposed to be the number one guy. He's not supposed to be the number two guy. He's supposed to be that impact player that's supposed to be in the slot. And so if I'm going ahead and spilling the beans, I assume that coach knows that. I think I've heard him say that that's what he's gonna do with Colt Cruz, and so that'll be very interesting to see, what Colt Cruz is able to do for the Aviators. But man, I tell you, this guy's been with a couple of other great quarterbacks as well, and so I'm hoping that him and Marquise Washington are able to find success, but not against the Cougars. Thank you very much. I'm done.
I'm on the fence with this one, and it's not because I don't think this is a very high risk, high reward signing to me, and it goes off of what Rob was just saying and what we've all said. Colt Cruz has a 91 overall. He's got all the attributes you want, but he hasn't really been able to ever put it together. And you could say, well, maybe it was because he was supposed to be the main guy at where was it that he was the main? Was it the slot Gunners, or was it what's that?
You mean like the slot guy, or
just the main guy, like the number one guy?
He was the number one guy in the Lancers.
Yeah. He was number one guy in the Gunners and the Lancers.
And the Gunners and the Lancers,
I'm almost wondering if that might be part of the problem. Maybe he's just not supposed to be the number one. Maybe he needs to solely be the slot, and maybe
he's undersized, Bill. He's like 5'7".
That's what I don't get either, man. Like, okay, Coach Beck, you're in this chat. Why can't you sign somebody above 6'1"? They got
you like his midgets, man.
over there. All of them are 5'9" or 5'10".
He likes his midget. He likes his midgets, man. He likes
Well,
his little guy.
don't get it.
And to speak on that also, for the Aviators, just those receivers were there before he got there. So this was a franchise that just never got a tall guy, But yeah, back definitely needs somebody to be a tall guy out there.
We got Armin Holland. Is he still there? Right?
Armin Holland, yep.
5'9". Andrew Glover?
Yep. Fisher's
9.
gone.
5'9", yeah.
Ben Johnson?
Yeah, he's there.
5'11". Martin Pearson? Ooh, he's 6 foot. There we go. Okay, so we got one 6 foot guy. Now we had this guy again. I'm not saying that you have to be tall to be a good receiver, but I feel like there has to be a dynamic. There has to be a big body guy, a slot guy, and you just put a bunch of slot guys on a team. I don't know if they're. I think you guys know what I'm trying to say. I just don't really know how to word it properly.
Justin Jones, if Justin Jones in the chat now, Justin Jones knows, man. Bro, I am the biggest. Bro, if you want to say I'm discriminating on short guys, I'm a short guy in real life. But I am going to tell you right now, when it comes to football, Madden, basketball, baseball, hockey, it's not a short man sport. And I'm just telling you right now, look, you'll never see a 5'9", 5'8", Royce the 5'9" guy, whatever, playing number one with the Cougars, man. Never. And it's nothing, look, I get it. You got certain guys who are special. Keith Guyton, what was he, 5'10", 5'11", or whatever?
Yeah, something like that.
He's special. What's the guy over there, the Crusaders I like? Elijah Bentley. Special, man. These guys are special. But, even when those guys are special, right, those guys struggle themselves too, being that small and in the position that they're in, at times, So it's just one of them things, man. I get it. I know Coach Bag didn't draft all 5'8", 5'9" guys, you know what I mean? But, with a guy undersized like this, I'm going to say it again, with a guy who's undersized like this, prospects, right? It poses some very difficult challenges, Ash Okoye, over the middle in certain situations. Is all I'm going to say about that one. So we'll see whether or not Colt Cruz will come and dominate the ferocious defenses in the ARC over the middle.
And I don't think that this is going to be like a huge blow up, like horrible thing for the Aviators. It's either going to be a huge addition and going to be a huge pickup for them, or it's going to just go away and we're going to be like in a year, Colt Cruz is still Colt Cruz.
Yeah. Well, some other names. I got these in order of, biggest name and such. So Devin Hobart, we know that, his contract was up with the Bisons, able to test free agency. I honestly did not think he was going to get signed, but Coach Frankie J picks him up to be on the Dreadnoughts. And so now it's, he's an 80 overall. Matt Jones is a 79. More than likely, which I'm pretty sure he will do, is have Matt Jones start. But, what's your thoughts on Devin Hobart just getting another chance for a different team?
I think it's a solid move for the Dreadnoughts, definitely, because of the situation with Matt Jones. We saw the success the team had when they had a veteran in, even though he wasn't, really high price or high named, guy with Copeland. So I think it's a good situation. It's good insurance for the team. And for Hobart, we all knew after we saw the regression that he just wasn't going to be a starter anymore. At least he shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. And this is a good spot for him to, be able to hold that clipboard, still get his money, and maybe still get a ring yet. Who knows how long he can stay. But the Dreadnoughts have a solid team. You never know what they could do. So I think it was a good move for him to go to a more successful franchise and just back up, the young quarterback that's there and hopefully help them grow that much more.
Yeah, man. The honesty train has arrived again to the station, man. I totally don't understand this signing by the Dreadnoughts. And I'm going to say that because, Frankie, I don't know what you're up to, but I'm trying to crack the case, my guy. You got Matt Jones here. You got Matt Jones, right? And we saw what Matt Jones did. Unfortunately, he got injured. And the other guy, I can't remember his name. He's obviously retired now, out of the game and everything. And you immediately sign Devin Hobart like, I'm like, look, I understand that people like Devin Hobart, but my take is the guy is like, what, 34,
I think he's older than
35
that. Like,
years old, right?
Like 36, 37, something like that.
We know that the only reason the Dreadnought, we know that one of the main reasons the Dreadnoughts were successful was the speed at the quarterback. Devin Hobart, 68 speed, 70-something acceleration, so we know he's not getting out of the pocket, right? We know that Devin Hobart plays well when he can, when he has some decent blocking, right? And when he doesn't have the blocking, he's a sack dummy, basically, right? We know that Matt Jones, right, gets out of the pocket under pressure, which a lot of teams are getting pressure to the Dreadnoughts, but couldn't sack Hobart or that new quarterback that they had, right? I'm not Hobart, but couldn't sack Jones or the new guy. So now you bring in, this guy here, and yeah, he's got some upswing to him. He's got some good, some good short accuracy, medium ball, stuff like that. Is pretty good and everything. But he's like, he's 35. He's at the end of his career. He's definitely slower than any quarterback you had on your roster. And I'm just a little bit worried. I'm not sure what Frankie is doing here, man. You know what I mean? I don't get it. To me, it would seem like, I'm not sure what he paid him for this or whatever. But to me, it would seem, that you maybe have been better off taking one of your picks and getting one of these young guys that are in the draft than signing this guy here. But at the same time, maybe he's thinking like, well, if Matt Jones gets injured again, I'll have a veteran QB to take me into the promised land, into the playoffs, and he'll succeed in everything, right? So I don't know, man. I really don't know. I just didn't like the signing by him, right? And if it's for insurance, then okay, I guess I can kind of see that. But to me, it just feels like a waste of money for the Dreadnoughts. The Dreadnoughts are on to better things. I think that the Dreadnoughts QB situation could possibly be a little bit better, but I really liked what I saw to Matt Jones. He was torching teams before he got injured, man. So I don't know, man. I didn't care for this signing here, and I'm letting Frankie know it. I'm on to you, buddy. I want to know what you're trying to do here. So, yeah.
All right. So the next guy we got on this list, Iron Hart. He was released into free agency by the Diablos. He still tried to negotiate things with them. That honestly, no, that did not, pan through, and he had to go back into free agency. And Coach Nicholson, this is your signing here. What did you see in Iron Hart? What's the big reason on why you signed him?
Well, I think as we'll find out when we talk a little bit more about this offseason so far, I've made a pretty big move, and it did leave a hole in our defense. And I've been known for having as many young players as I can get, and I saw that Iron Hart here was in free agency, and he wasn't really getting a lot of looks, and he might not be the guy that he was before the regression started hitting him, but I saw a really good opportunity to take a guy who's been playing in this league for a long time at a high level and maybe transition him a little bit to a role similar to maybe like a nickel guy or something where it usually takes a little bit more skill, a little bit more experience to play there. And I'm hoping that we can, squeeze another year or two out of him for some high production to help our pass defense. I just thought it was as a 1-year deal. We just picked him up. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, hey, at the end of the year, we go our separate ways. But even with his regression, he was still a pretty decent overall. Definitely an upgrade over what we had left after some moves. And I just thought, why the heck not? So that's what we did.
Yeah, I was proud of my boy Bill, man, for this pickup because a lot of times, and it's nothing against the way coaches feel. Everybody has their own philosophy. I got my own philosophy. Smitty, I'm Geezer Gang all the way, man. If you're old, you got a spot on the Cougars, right? And the reason for that is this: in certain situations, in impact moments inside of this game here, the difference between a veteran, right, and a rookie, a veteran and a year 2 player or whatever, it's night and day, right? in situations. And normally, what you like, one thing, this is a good example. Exo Bankston, right, who's an aging cornerback on my team, right, outplayed Keone Jones a lot in the season because of the fact that he was a veteran player, man. And I think that sometimes people get away from the veterans. They think, oh, he's 31, I got to get rid of him now. He's going to be terrible in a year or whatever, right? And what people don't see is that, I personally feel that that the game, it doesn't at veteran players as bad. It actually looks at veteran players as this guy knows the system. This guy, has experience. This guy is disciplined or whatever, what have you. I mean, if you didn't know Iran Hart, I mean, this guy still has his speed on him, I believe. Does he still have his speed, Bill?
I think he's at like 89 speed, 90 speed. It's not anything to, gawk over, but
what about his acceleration? Is it still above 90?
Let me go and look here because I know I just had his thing up here.
I know when I looked the other day, he had like close to 70 catching or something like that. It was too. That's something that sparked. And then I had looked at like his zone coverage. His zone coverage had been massive, but that was the old DL, so I wasn't sure.
And that's really what I'm going off of here. So his old one, he's got 91 speed and 93 excel. I think he's down to like 90 speed or maybe 89 speed,
right.
But he still has at least above 90 excel. Yeah. So,
and I'm pretty sure he still has the middle 80s play recognition. He still has the middle 80s zone coverage, and he still has the high 70s and a middle 70 man coverage still.
Yep.
Yeah. So like, to me, that's all I needed to see. Like, right. And I think he had like 90 jumping. Like, that's all I needed to see is a veteran player who still can check a wide receiver, who still has an 81 press, and who still can cover the zones and the man in situations. Right. And so, I never see age in these situations. I never see the overall. I say to myself, how many times have we seen Iran Hart strap somebody? You see what I'm saying? So I thought that was an amazing pickup by you, Coach. And I think that's definitely going to help you out for the season, at least for a season, maybe for 2 seasons.
At least for a season. I'm not tied to anything after it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think you spoke on that's one of the ultimate reasons why you really signed him, because he was only looking for 1 year. So yeah. So that's a great. I think that's a great signing as well. Another great signing is, this was talked about, I believe, in the last podcast. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think it was in the podcast, but we were talking and got word, just talking about Jake McBride. Who's going to take this guy? Could he turn out to be something special? Like he should have been, being that first round draft pick that he was for the Dreadnoughts back in season 3. And the Portland Riverhawks have decided to sign him. We already know that Hunter Mackey, he's done. He's taken the regression. He's dropped down to a 76. Not only that, his contract was up, and the Riverhawks have elected to drop him into free agency after his 5,000-yard passing season. But, of course, we saw dips in his quality of play as he had 17 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. So the touchdown to interception ratio wasn't great. But, of course, also, the way the offense ran, it really ran through the run game in shivers. But, after taking a big hit like that, they had to move on. And most people was expecting these guys, to go in the draft with it, probably find a guy. And, he had Jake McBride sitting in free agency. He doesn't have the best rap, but the last game he played for the Dreadnoughts, he looked pretty solid. Then he got hurt. But there's a lot that needs to be worked on with this kid. But with the weapons that the Riverhogs have, you already know about the run game with Shivers. We already know about those receivers out there. You already got 2 over 90 overall, or 90 at least, with Angel Roseman and, of course, Sylvester Leach. You got Cedric Jackson. You even got Shivers, who can catch out the backfield as well. Rainey Shropshire, a whole bunch of targets. They got to work on the offensive line and things, though. But, with these weapons around McBride, I really feel like this is an area in which, he could be that guy to show us what his true potential is, because I feel it's a lot of potential in McBride to be a successful guy. We know his awareness is really low and other things like throwing the pressure is really low. But, who knows? Maybe a coach gets a hold of this team, somewhere down the line and is able to boost this guy up. And the next thing you know, he's looked at as one of the top young quarterbacks in this league, because we already know he's still young. I think he's 25 years old. So what's you guys' thoughts on this signing? Do you think he'll be successful with the Riverhogs this upcoming season?
That's going to be a loaded question going into this upcoming or this next season, because we saw the one game this year, right? And he looked promising, but he got hurt. And we also know why he was no longer the starter. So it's going to be interesting to see if he ends up being the guy or not. I think it was a solid move for the Riverhogs, given the fact that Mackey was just, he would have been limping through the season the way he got hit with that regression this year. They needed to move on. And with having Shivers still there, who's playing at such a high level, you can bring on a guy and let him, get comfortable and, get back into the swing of things without having to be the main weapon on offense when you have a guy like that behind you. So I think it's a good move. He's in a good position to see if he can get back to, starting caliber. But again, it's tough because we know he had an opportunity at once and he lost it. Is that going to happen again? So that's what we need to see.
Yeah, I thought it was a good signing by the Riverhogs, and I was able to look at Jake McBride's stuff as well, and I think it's a decent. I think he's ready, man. He fits the mold. Just he's still young, middle aged guy, and I think that he obviously with whatever was going on with the Dreadnoughts, it just didn't work out for him, but he still has some very interesting stats, I guess I should say. Or I'm sorry, attributes, I should say, that I think are going to carry him. Just kind of looking at this right here, you can actually look at the fact that he does have just kind of like above average speed at his position. The throw power at 99 throw power, man, that's pretty good there. Couple that with the fact that he throws a 90 deep ball, might be something they could use there, right? The accuracies, the medium and short accuracies are just in the 80s, 83 and 84 respectively. But what I'm also noticing here, though, is that this is actually a pretty tough guy, man. This guy has an 89 break sack, a 89 break sack. He has a 75 break tackle, and he has a 74 ball carry vision. So that right there, man, I think says quite a lot about what kind of guy. And 86 strength, I should put that out there too, right? So I think that right there, I think they just got a real tough guy.
Yo, look at his size once, bro.
Huh?
Look at his size, his height.
Oh yeah, 6'7", 245. Yeah.
Dude, it's a beast.
Ridiculous. Yeah, 6'7", 240. Yeah, this is Roethlisberger, isn't it?
Yeah,
Just about.
Yeah, this is big. This is Big Ben, little Ben here, little Ben McBride here, man. Okay, yeah, okay, all right, but yeah. This is actually a pretty great signing. It's unfortunate that the Dreadnoughts were not able to hold on to him, but this is awesome.
Extra wide McBride coming at you, season 7.
Extra wide,
Wide McBride.
fully loaded.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that, especially when you bring up that deep ball with these deep threats that they got with Sylvester Leach and things like that. That's going to be very interesting to see. But yeah, and the final notable free agent to talk about here, I'll list off the rest. We won't talk about those guys, but the last one is DeAndre Cummings. DeAndre Cummings, has played 5 seasons with the Austin Desperados. The Desperados was one of the hardest hit regressive teams this season, as they lost a lot of guys. We know Nolan Harrell retired. Their tight end Marquise Smiley retired. A lot of guys took big hits. There's an older team. Chase Mason's not there anymore. There's a lot of big losses there. And DeAndre finds himself in free agency. And the Wizards decide to pick him up. I've been hearing, things of possibly moving him to safety. Once again, I gotta see if he fits those criteria to be moved there. But I think he does. What is you guys' thoughts on that?
I would love that move right there. We all know Mitchie loves this guy because he's not the fastest. But like Rob was saying before, veterans matter. And this defense needed some extra leadership last year, and they didn't have it, I guess. They can, even though they have a lot of young guys or old guys, apparently they need some more. There's nothing wrong with adding another veteran, especially when you're going through a tough, rough patch like this. And if Cummings can transition to safety, I think that's going to make him play even better than he did last year, and he had a heck of a year last year too. So I think I love it. I think it's a great move.
Yeah, I'm trying to see this now. What is his tackle rating? Because I think that you said they had to be over. Did you say they had to be over
I believe
85
for
or
free
something?
safeties it had to be 70, and for strong safeties 75.
Okay, and the tackling, yeah, it's tackling, yeah. So yeah, he meets the wait. Does he meet the weight? Yeah. He meets the regulations to go to safety. So if in that case, yeah, this is an excellent pickup here, for them to get the veteran, and he still got some juice in him, man. So yeah, I like it, and the biggest thing I think for the Wizards, is trying to obviously figure out what's happening at QB, how to get the offense going,
Mm-hmm.
but also they need to put on some defense to stop the hemorrhaging, man. Because they just it was just rough for them trying to stop anything, and then they couldn't get the offense going, and so. Yeah, I think that it's a good pickup. You get the veteran here. Hey, throw him over the top there, and hey, good luck.
And they already got two good safeties there, so I'm pretty sure he'll just play that veteran backup role. They got Frederick Roper, who's a beast at safety, and of course Cito Torres. Both of those guys are. I don't think DeAndre Cummings will be able to best him in that position or not, but a solid rotational guy. Maybe even at times you could throw him in that corner when you have to. So I think I could see him being moved around quite a bit for that Wizards defense. And even talking about the Wizards, their defense was actually pretty solid this year. Statistically, it would tell you it wasn't that great, but like you talked about with the offense, they had so many holes in it and so many problems getting it moving that the defense really suffered. And but they still week in and week out was holding teams to out of the end zone, making plays and things like that. It's going to be interesting to see what DeAndre Cummings brings to the table there. But before we go ahead and move on from this, there's other notable guys to name here. The Cougars, you guys, Rob, you signed linebacker Vasily Rodenhauser and wide receiver Kabil Mamedov. So, those are other big signings right there. You even got Riley Bach, the former Husky, last year playing for the Bisons and getting a third opportunity here to play for the Black Knights. He's taking some heavy regression, but he will be there with the Black Knights playing there with Roland Carter. And that is, I believe, and the Wizards making a couple big signings here. We already talked about DeAndre Cummings. You had Ethan Long also being signed there, and Rashad Scipio. When we talk about veterans, that's definitely one guy. He's taking some heavy hits. Overall is really not that high, if I'm not mistaken, probably mid to low 70s, but still a beast at that D-line. Going to be interesting to see what he does there for that defense. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and move on to, let me see. I'm going to ask you this. So from looking at this, before we move on, which player from these signings on this notable free agents list, signings list, do you think will be the most impactful for their team next season?
Oh, that's hard to say, man.
I would say it's a toss-up between Scott and Lusk, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think.
So. Yeah.
And I forgot that I also talked to Coach Back earlier today too, and he gave me a snippet on the Kadron Lusk decision. I don't know if you want me to go into that now or hold off.
Yeah, we can go into that.
So I talked to Coach Back about the decision to let Kadron Lusk go, because obviously he was like Rob was alluding to, he's a huge part of that offense, and he has been for a long time. And I asked him if it was a situation where the player just wasn't very happy with not getting much touches, because it looked like Kenny was slowly becoming the more household name there for Columbus. Was it just looking to bring another back? Is it leaning on Kenny? What's the situation? And he said the long and short of Lusk is that he was just asking for too much for a third down back. And I guess that's the way that the Aviators viewed him, is a third down back. And we wish him luck, and he's a great talent that Coach Back thinks will be great for the Bisons. And maybe we'll even see him this year, depending on what the schedule brings out. But it was something where even if he was available maybe later on in free agency, it was something the team definitely wouldn't have shied away from, maybe trying to bring him back on a cheaper deal. But they really didn't want to pay the extra money. And the team feels that with this draft coming up and what's out there also for available running backs, that they can probably find a cheaper option and maybe a younger option or something that they can bring in that they know that player knows they're going to be behind Kenny, and Kenny is the main guy. And it sounds like that was just that. It was just too big of a contract, and they're going to get back to the running the ball with Kenny, or I guess get to that point now. And Lusk was just, I guess, too many mouths to feed for the team.
Yeah, interesting. Definitely a great back. Wait to see what he does there in OKC. But moving on, we talked about the free agent signings. Let's also talk about just the offseason moves in general. We had a lot of big offseason trades and things that went down. So let's talk about some big trades and some new acquisitions that was added. First talking about Trey Allen. He has been traded for the Pioneers, another team just like the Riverhawks was a team, after the extremely rough season by George McAfton. The guys just had a sense that these guys were going to go quarterback in the draft, but they get, it seems, their quarterback of the future by giving away their second. This was actually the wrong one, because I think this was one I updated on social media, but it was actually they gave away their third this year, their second next year, which you see the fourth at the bottom because it had to be adjusted because they didn't have the second round pick in the fourth round, of course, this year. So they traded that to get Trey Allen, and I have the statistics of Trey Allen. Last time he was a starting quarterback here in the RFL was back in season 3, which he was signed as if I'm not mistaken, an undrafted free agent. And when he was signed as an undrafted free agent, he was able to take his team to the Relo Bowl to play, in Relo Bowl 3 against the Thunderbirds. Ultimately fell short in that game, but you can see the stat line here in his last season as a starter: 3,802 yards, 63%, 25 touchdowns. Interceptions was pretty high, but we saw a lot of potential out of Trey Allen. We already know the story of what happened. DWJ getting drafted, very big. It was shocking to most guys that he even fell out of the first round. We thought he'd be a first round pick there in that draft, and he fell to the Sentinels, and Coach Tor couldn't pass him up, and just ended up taking his spot. And haven't seen him for years since then, and now he's going to be playing for the Salt Lake City Pioneers, which we know is a team that is starting to really build and starting to get to a point where, okay, these guys aren't the Pioneers of old like we usually know them as. So what is your guys' thoughts on this move, and do you think he's going to be productive with this offense?
Well, I think, like I said, it's hard to tell with some of these older games because we all know how much a quarterback can change from game to game. But he's a young guy. He has the attributes. I don't think there was going to be many options in the draft that would be a better overall straight out of the gate, or a better position, or a better player straight out of the gate for the Pioneers than Trey Allen. So, I think they answer a big question. Yes, they gave up draft capital, but the biggest question mark for any team is who is your quarterback. And when you don't know that, your whole team is sort of, just scrambling to figure out the rest. And I think this seals up a lot of issues with Salt Lake City. And I like the move.
Yeah, this is I didn't really like the move for the Pioneers, and I understand why. I understand why people would like this, because Trey Allen is not a bad quarterback, and he has potential. But when I look at the Pioneers situation, and I see that they have the 6th overall pick. And while I understand that maybe they don't get Daryl Johnson, I just feel like some teams, like, sometimes it's best to go with a younger player and build that player up. I felt like and this is all speculation at this point, but I felt like with the 6th overall pick, the Pioneers could have taken a solid quarterback, man, for the future. I mean, what do they have to lose now? I mean, they've lost all those games. They've only won however many games this last season or whatever. They really have nothing to lose. And while Trey Allen, I'm not going to say he's washed up, right? But he's been around for a little while. But I just don't see this guy getting with his current age. I don't see him getting to a perennial point and becoming the savior for the Pioneers. But what I did see is I see that there are some quarterbacks in the draft that look like they have some potential, man. I felt like this would have been a great spot. I'm not gonna say names. That's probably not right. But I feel there's a couple of guys that have some chips on their shoulders that could have went to the Pioneers, man. And it would have just been way more. I feel it would have been way more exciting to see those guys here. So it'll be interesting to see what Trey Allen is able to do with them. But in my opinion, man, the contract is too big or whatever. They could have gotten a rookie on a rookie deal, work this rookie in, let a rookie come in there and bring some new life, man. Sell some jerseys. You know what I mean? Change it. Just change the culture, man. Nothing against that's nothing against the veterans. You guys know I like the veterans, man. But in certain situations, I just feel it's just time to redo things, man. I kind of was hoping that the Pioneers would just maybe let McAfton out of there, just totally obliterate the QB position and go get them a young guy or two, and start to build around those guys.
And the big thing also with this move, to me, on why it makes sense, is the guy, if I'm not mistaken, is either 25 or 26, and he only had the one chance to play, which he, was very serviceable during his time playing. And of course, DWJ walking as a younger guy. With the contract that he's on, he's and the 82 overall, I side along with Bill. This is a quarterback that has an opportunity to still show that he has a potential to be a great player in this league. He's still very youthful, at least 4 years with this guy before he even starts regressing, So at the level he's at, I still feel like he's a very young talent and we know that what the Pioneers were capable of doing just this past season. The quarterback situation seemed just to be the struggle. They could have probably went and got a quarterback, and things like that in the draft, which, that wouldn't have been as bad either. But it with the Pioneers, it's kind of like a time thing. They've got pieces now. The young guy, you would have to work to try to build that up and develop him up. Well, Trey Allen, this is a guy who's got the experience, just has not been able to get on the field because he just has been in a situation that's just, unfortunate for him. Now being able to step in, I think that this immediately improves the Pioneers offense. And it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm not going to say, I could agree with you there, Rob. I'm not going to just start out here and say, this guy's the savior of the team right away. But I do feel like he's going to bring something different to this team, and more consistency to the position to be able to make this offense thrive like it should have this past season. But
I actually got a chance, of course, I was talking to quite a few people today, and I talked to Coach Armstrong, who coached, of course, Trey Allen the last few years, about this move. And, he said that, Allen is a very talented quarterback and, just probably wasn't ever going to get the time of day in Orlando anymore. And, when the Pioneers came a knocking for Trey Allen, I mean, he couldn't really refuse the offer given the fact that he's just sort of holding the clipboard for DWJ at this point. And he sees that there's a lot of talent there. And he even said that, depending on how he is used, he thinks that this guy can lead the Pioneers back to being or I guess I shouldn't say back to it, because I don't know if they ever really were contenders, but at least make them more of a contender in the ARC. And he even put in there, you have to remember, this guy took a team to the Relo Bowl his rookie year. And, he said he wasn't even that thrilled about having to make that call. But between the regression and some of the early retirements that, the Sentinels did end up getting unexpectedly, like the tight end, he saw the opportunity. He's got to get these picks. He's got to try to rebuild this team. And it was just sort of the perfect storm for both teams to sort of win out from. So that's what he had to say about it.
I'm just going to rebuttal here because I know Noah, he's a thinker, and I see he said he's done his research here, and he says that 6 would basically get the Pioneers the 3rd or the 4th best QB. Well, that is speculation there, Noah. I see what you're saying. I looked at that as well, but I think, can I say some names real quick, Smitty? Is that okay for me to say some names?
Well, of quarter in the draft?
Yeah, that's the
cool.
draft. Okay. Yeah, so I'm thinking Trey Allen right on one side, and I'm thinking DJ, he's off the board. I'm thinking Kai Cash. I'm thinking McCall. I'm thinking Owen Jack. Off the top of my head immediately, of 4 great QBs who I think have a lot of flair on them. I didn't even mention the other guys, the Ramoses and stuff like that, right? I'm just thinking of like some guys with some flair that we know for a fact, right? Like we know Owen Jack bald. We know Jacob McCall bald. We know Kai Cash bald, right? Like we know that. So like when I'm looking at this, I'm saying to myself, yeah, Trey Wade did some things. Trey Wade did some things. He was all right. He's good. He got some pretty good stats. He's 25. I don't know if I believe that the Pioneers are in win now though. Are they really? Are the Pioneers in win now, Smitty? Are they? Do you think they're really in win now?
The reason why I believe they are, and then I was going to ask you a question too off of this too.
Yeah.
Because to think about them coming in as rookies, and the spot in which Allen is, where he's youthful, definitely guaranteed at least 4 years to keep improving before regression. What do you feel that they would be able to
Leo,
compete
man?
with Trey Allen?
Man, I feel that something that I feel that every quarterback in the RFL is able to compete at some level, right? Even McAfton, as bad as I give McAfton a rap, man, I give him a bad rap, right? McAfton is still able to compete with teams. So I don't think it's a matter of competing versus the fact that you could go low and get a higher ceiling of a quarterback in a few years than I personally feel you will with Trey Allen right now, because he's 26 or whatever he is. And I know he's a star dev, but it's kind of like, to me, I view that as like diminishing, right? Versus like maybe bringing in that younger guy. I think I meant to say Leo Moon too. I'm sorry, Leo. I wanted to make sure I say your name because I did have you in my head. I just forgot about you, But like I just kind of feel like there are some guys, man, who I know they're young and I know they may not come in, the high overall guys. This is not me saying you're going to be an 80 overall or 75 overall. Don't think it, right? You keep thinking 65. Maybe that's going to be more realistic. No, but I just feel like, the upswing of a younger youthful quarterback out of this past college series. There's some guys. Okay. I feel like, those. Yeah, go ahead.
I was about to say, let me change the question up to something else then. So let's say Allen's still here, and the quarterback issue is still an issue. Say if they do draft a quarterback, do you believe that they would be able to ever beat out Trey Allen for that spot?
Well, the thing is it just depends on the caliber of player you're getting. Personally, I'll speculate here. If I had to say, behind DJ Johnson, I think is Kai Cash because of what he did with Georgia. And I think that if they were somehow able to get Kai Cash on the Pioneers, I think that Kai Cash could beat out Trey Allen in no time.
I guess
that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and my thoughts on it is, and when you say beat out Trey Allen, are you talking about overall wise where the depth chart forces it, or like just in terms of play?
Just in terms of play. Do you think they would ever get a chance behind Trey Allen in terms of play?
I mean, I think it's a possibility. I don't want to say it's not. I guess it depends on the kind of system and the kind of team you have.
What if Trey Allen becomes inconsistent though, Smitty? Like, what if he gets out there for the Pioneers and he's not playing caliber football? Are you going to just keep him on there, or
this is another thing? Do you think? But this is why I'm bringing this up, is because I don't feel that Trey Allen is that type of quarterback where he will be he can be probably inconsistent at the time. We know every quarterback's going to have their struggles, but I feel like he's going to bring more of a consistency to this team that McAfton, just didn't have. And
what was the issue with Orlando though?
The issue with the reason why he's not playing is because DWJ came and fell to him higher overall, got the opportunity to play, and he just didn't lose his spot. He's a great quarterback. So Allen,
you guys think this guy is frozen in time? I
feel like this dude has the potential. We saw what he did when he started. This guy's definitely got the potential to be a great quarterback. So I'm saying, with that on the table, yeah, you got the draft guys, but then you also got to put into the account that this guy is still young too. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he's actually been experienced in the league. That is how can you pass up on it?
But okay, yeah, but look, do you think, right? Like, okay, I'm just gonna assume that Kai Cash comes in star, right? Kai Cash coming at star would probably develop faster, right, than Allen would at 26 years of age. His bar would be higher, right? So Kai Cash, just by sitting on the bench, would immediately I think he would, well, not immediately. I don't know what Kai Cash would be, but if I had to speculate, I would say that Kai Cash would be like a 70 overall, 71, 72 overall star dev QB coming into the league. So to me, it would seem like within a season, Kai Cash could easily move up to 75 by next season. I don't know, close to 80, whatever. I'm not into the whole all the XP progression stuff, but it just seems to me like a young quarterback with time. He has time. That's the biggest factor, right? Allen doesn't have time, right? He's progressing. He's regressing as we speak, right? So we're headed toward regression, I guess I should say. So I kind of feel like yeah, I get it. If people think they're in win now mode and Trey Allen will be the savior, then cool. But if we're talking about rebuilding the Pioneers and getting them a young guy to mold and build around, I just kind of feel like they should definitely draft, still maybe even still draft a QB. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey,
I think at the very least, it plugs a single hole.
Mm-hmm.
At the very least, it plugs a hole, and it gives them the option. Maybe we get to the 6th pick in the draft, and the only guys that they considered worthy taking there are gone, but there's a quarterback still there. You know what I'm saying? It gives them the option. It doesn't. I guess it's the reason that I think this is a good move is because this doesn't force the hand of the Pioneers in the draft now. They have options, basically. And we know they have a solid defense. And that's really what it comes down to. They're sort of buying themselves time. They know McCaffrey is not the guy. He needs to go. Lacking McCaffrey.
And that's another thing about it, too, is that now since this, like you said, I think you're getting to this point, though. Let me know if you are. But if you have this quarterback spot now, and like I've been saying this, we still don't know. Okay, he was terrible this year. We still do not know what McAfee will do in the next game, right? So he might actually,
especially with the improvements to QB performance.
Exactly. So you have 2 quarterbacks now. So that is a whole area of need that you don't need to worry about, and you have this early 6th pick. Now you can address an area that you would have had to spend a pick on a quarterback, and you might not have been able to use him over McAfee because McAfee, they would have had to beat him out, and he could have been nice. And so like that could have ended up being a wasted pick that you had to wait to develop. But now you got an area to where you can draft and improve an area to and that's 2 spots immediately, Yeah. So it's like that's also another way to look at it too. So it's an interesting facts that we're pulling up here. Really
and let's be honest, this move here also could trigger the pick that would not have been able to be made if they don't get Trey Allen. And the pick they don't get could have been the reason that this rookie quarterback they would have had in this scenario ends up failing. And that's the line up front. Because I feel that the Pioneers definitely need some extra bodies up front. Between age and just overall ability, the line has been lacking, especially at the tackle position. And, well, maybe not all tackle positions, but they have not had the best consistency there. And I feel like, now because they have Allen, maybe they can go and they can get the best. They can go and get the best tackle in the draft. Maybe they can go and get the best guard instead of having to take a quarterback and then have them run around to save their life every single play. So it's going to be interesting to see. This draft is gonna. I can't wait, man. This is going to be some fun stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. And let's go ahead and talk about some more moves and fun stuff that's been going on. So this is picks being swapped here. So the Snowhawks traded away received the Red Dragons' 1st and 6th round pick this year in exchange for their 1st and 2nd round pick this year. Well, their 2nd and 4th round pick this year and next year's 1st round pick. So this is pretty much a bunch of pick swaps here. What did you guys' thoughts on this move?
I at first, I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was a really weird move for the Red Dragons. I was like, why the heck would he do that? Why would he not want a 1st rounder? And but then I thought about it, and it's actually sort of a genius move. The Snowhawks made it to the Relo Bowl this year, and there's only so many spots available for that Snowhawks team to get better next year, and there's a whole lot more of them for them to get worse this upcoming year. And the Red Dragons, who weren't very happy with who they could have gotten where they wanted, or maybe just didn't need a player, decided, let's go ahead and load up, and instead of wasting it on a this year pick, let's get it when this team might have a shot at giving us a mid-teens pick instead of a 31st pick. I thought it was, after I thought about it, I'm like, man, that's actually a really smart move to bet on the team that they're trading with to be worse the following year in order to get a better draft selection. So I just think I think it's a good move for both sides here. I like that the Red Dragons are like accepting, like, you know what, we are in win now. We don't necessarily need a bunch of pieces right now. Let's just move back, let things play out, and then we'll come back to the drawing board next year with more ammo. And the Snowhawks, who we know went through some stuff about losing players due to cap situations, they go ahead and get another pick closer up to hopefully fill those holes.
Yeah, man. Let me just break it down for the streets, man. The Red Dragons just signed the premier back for the Snowhawks. And I think the coach is saying y'all going to be terrible next year. And I'm just messing around right now, man. But no. What Bill just said is right, man. It makes a lot of sense. Also, look, man, I think sometimes like people they forget in the RFLers, they kind of like have short memory, right? Like things are week to week for them, and I think that people kind of like lost interest in the Red Dragons for whatever reason. Going into the season, it was the Red Dragons. They're the team to beat, the Red Dragons. And no one talked about the Red Dragons this year because of how, just lackluster they were. Make no mistake about it. The Red Dragons are still a perennial powerhouse team that just upgraded to the halfback situation. And hopefully coach is going to also have that PS5 next year as well, so he can be hands-on with his team, because he wasn't hands-on with his team, and I'm going to keep promoting that. Coaches who are not hands-on with their team, in my opinion, they're at a disadvantage. And it wasn't the case for every coach, but I'm just going to be honest about that. Some of you coaches who didn't have PS5s, you had great coaches on your teams. That's it. That's all. I'm not going to say anything else about it. Yeah, I think there was a great move by Coach Davis, and man, he just got richer for the next season. Yeah, good move all around.
So moving on to the next big one, some more trades, and this one's a lot more players involved. So got veteran quarterbacks being swapped here. Matthew Hall of the Crusaders now becoming a Bulldog, and Brandon Bowen, which is pretty no name for the London Bulldogs. They're at cornerback, and they also gave up defensive tackle Tyler Keltner and linebacker Patrick Shivers, as well as swapping first-round picks, and the Crusaders getting a third also. So a lot given up here by the Bulldogs, but with this, I believe this was the pick that helped them secure the 11th overall pick here in the draft. So they get that selection, they move up in the first round, and they get themselves a solid cornerback here in Matthew Hall. I believe he's 28 and 85 overall. So that's also boosted up their secondary for this upcoming year.
I really liked this trade. At first, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I looked into it a little bit more, and I understand what the Crusaders are trying to do here. I'm not 100% sold on this move from the Bulldogs standpoint, to be quite honest. I have to wait and see what happens with that 11th pick to see if it was worthwhile. But the Crusaders, I think, won this trade because they downgraded a little bit at corner from going to Bowen, but they also picked up Patrick Shivers and Tyler Keltner, who are both needy players for them. They need defense. We've been talking about the Crusaders needing defensive talent for at least 2 seasons now, and they go ahead and they get a 24, 25-year-old mid-70s outside linebacker with 92 speed, might I add. And they go and get Tyler Keltner, who is a mid-70s 26-year-old who can fill in the middle right away for them. as well as they keep their cornerbacks intact. They just coming down a little bit, and they fall back 12 spots in the draft. I thought this was a great trade for the Crusaders. I don't know if it's going to be a great trade for the Bulldogs yet, and that's no shade to the Bulldogs. It just depends on what they do with that pick that they got. But I think the Crusaders, they go ahead and fill 2 holes while downgrading a tad bit at a veteran position. They still pick up a 3rd-round pick, and they move back a little bit. So I thought it was a great trade.
Yeah, as long as I think this is a great move for the Crusaders. As long as Coach Bachikalupi doesn't go out there and draft Trey No Love at number 1 overall, then he's safe. But if he goes up there and he drafts a bust, we're gonna be all over you, buddy. It's all there, man. So yeah, good trade for the Crusaders. Hey, Bulldogs getting richer.
All right, another big draft pick. So a little bit of controversy and some people thinking on this. Did the Aviators pay too much? Let us know in the chat, because they gave up their 1st-round pick this year and their 1st-round pick next year in exchange for a 3rd-round pick of the Diablos this year. And this was a solid player, defensive end, William Yost. He's an 83 overall, young guy, and in his mid to, I think, even lower 20s, early 20s. And so that's a huge potential player. But, we've been talking about, is this, if he does not turn out to be the guy, to really be the key piece on this defensive line or for this team, this could be a trade that I can see the Aviators would have lost here. But the Aviators definitely need defense. So what are you guys' thoughts on this?
Oops, sorry, I forgot I was muted there. Rob, do you want to carry this one away? Because, again, you know this Aviators team way better than I do, man. Otherwise, I can go first.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I get it. Coach, that Coach saw he had a 22, 23-year-old player who was, I think he's a middle 80 or whatever he is. He felt like, hey, that's easily a 1st-round kind of a pick there. The guy is young. He's an 83 overall. He's a defensive player. We need a defensive player. Why not just trade my 1st and guarantee that I get a player that's going to be, that I feel is going to be caliber. What do we know about William Yost? Well, we know that William Yost has some solid ratings, some solid attributes, but at the same time, William Yost has just kind of been, I don't know, I'll say average. I did like that, he seemed to pick up, I think he had a pretty good year with the Diablos in the sack category, but everybody on the Diablos was balling. So it was easy to really play with that team. When you have talent around you, it makes all your players better. That'll remain to be seen here for the Aviators defense. We'll see whether or not Yost is going to be just as effective playing for the Aviators as he was for the Diablos. My only thing of this, and I just try to give, from all perspectives and everything, great signing and everything. But, I think I mentioned to you guys, sometimes I worry about the transfer of players from one team to the other and whether or not they're going to still be the same when you have them, when they're not like these high 90s players. Like, it's different with a guy like Woolfolk, because that, he's got all that stuff attached to him. But, William Yost doesn't have all that stuff attached to him. He's a normal dev. He's 23 years of age. Will he transfer over and will he be as effective in the system of the Aviators as he was in the system of the Diablos? And that's my take.
I'm on sort of both sides of this here. I do feel that it was a high price tag, 2 first rounds. Anytime you talk about giving away multiple first round picks, it's an eyebrow raiser, because that's a huge haul. On the other side of that, the Aviators made it to, what was their pick number this year? 29, 28, something like that. For what they were supposed to be anyway in the draft. 30, maybe. I think it was 30.
I think it's 30. Yep. 30.
If they're also assuming that they're going to be 30th or somewhere around there next year, considering that they, had a really successful year, they're coming back with their 2nd-year quarterback again, who's only going to be getting better. At that rate, you're basically trading 2 seconds almost, and you're also getting a 3rd for this player. And with that in mind, I don't see it being as bad of a trade. And like Rob said early on, it guarantees you a high caliber player. You know, you never know what you're going to get in the draft. You could get a stud, you could get a dud, you could get something in between, but you don't know essentially until you see the card. This way, you know what you're getting. If you compare him to everybody in this class, given how our draft is going to be changing or how already has changed, he's probably the highest overall that you would get if you were to put him in the way he is right now into the draft class. And they shore up their defense, but also give themselves that extra wiggle room to play up however they feel fit. And that's actually what Coach Back alluded to when I asked him about this trade today. I told him, I asked him straight out, I said, this is a really big move for Yost. You gave up 2 first rounders, and I just want to know what led to such a drastic call. And he said, in our organization, we looked at our position in the draft and what players were available for outside rushers. And we looked at what it would take to move up in the draft where that pick would fall if they were able to move up, and put some feelers out, contacted some teams. And after finding out that, maybe it wasn't going to be as easy as they thought it would, ended up talking to the Diablos. And as we know, the Diablos have sort of gone off into their own direction with Staten and Woolfolk, like you mentioned, and Dawkins and all these other guys that they have there rushing the passer. This guy was the odd man out. And, so he decided to just pull the trigger. It took him 2 first-round picks, but he felt confident that this guy is going to be able to, he has a high floor and high ceiling, and he's very young yet. Like we said, he's 23. He's got a good overall start. Yes, he's only normal dev, but it's a really good starting spot for any young player, and it allows them to change up their scheme if need be and still not leave him hanging on the dust. If they do a 3-4, he's a perfect defensive end in a 3-4. If they run 4-3, they have a great pass rusher in the middle to play 3 technique. So I think it was a solid move by the team, and after hearing what Back had to say, it does make sense to me, especially if you think your team is going to continue to have success, to give up a late first, pretty much second-round pick.
Gotcha. And so we talk about other players being acquired. We know about the Desperados losing a lot of guys due to being an older team here in the league and losing Nolan Harrell, but they get a linebacker back in return, giving their first-round pick up to the Brooklyn Barons to acquire Juan Crosby, a youthful linebacker who's seen on the up and up here in the RFL. Great fill-in position here for the Desperados, while the Barons get themselves an extra first-round pick. What's your thoughts on this?
This really caught me off guard a little bit, and maybe there's something that I'm not seeing here, and I'm sure Roland will let me know. But I felt that this was a little bit of an overreach on the Barons' part here, and the only reason for that is because of the Desperados' placement in the draft at 28. Juan Crosby is a very, very good player. He's, what is he, an 82 overall?
Yeah, 82.
83. That just seems to be a very steep price for a late first-round pick. If this was a mid-teens pick, or even a top 10, of course, all day I'd be like, oh yeah, that you're going to have to give up a solid player to move up in the draft. So I wouldn't have been surprised. But for such a late pick, I was surprised to see Juan Crosby go for that. But again, maybe there's a plan in place that we just don't know about yet from Brooklyn that will shed some light on it as the weeks and months play out.
Yeah, I've stopped trying to figure out Roland for a long time, man. The guy just thinks totally different, goes away from the grain, and I'm pretty sure that he has an idea on a player that he wants that he thinks is going to be available with his pick there, and so he made his jump, and so I can't not be mad at that. I personally, man, well, I don't want to say, because I did get rid of what's his name? What's Underhill's player's name? The linebacker I sent over to the Bisons, I think.
Javon Payne?
Yeah, Javon Payne. I got rid of Javon Payne, and I understand. I got rid of Javon Payne, and who did I land? Well, I landed Geno Gannon, right? so,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hate on Roland, man. I ain't gonna hate on him. I get it. He's after somebody. Juan Crosby, I was a little shocked, but hey, it is what it is. We make the moves. Bill, you say it all the time, man. Sometimes you gotta pay. You got to overpay sometimes
you do.
for what you want, man. And that's just how it is, and you deal with it. And after a season, nobody even remembers, right? Like nobody even remembers. I mean, people were kind of giving me a little flack about trading Javon Payne. Like, watch Javon Payne crush the Cougars. Well, that didn't happen. And I got Geno Gannon out of the situation. So, it is what it is, man. So big shout out to the Barons for trading up. And let's just hopefully that works out for them.
Yeah, and they did end up making a trade. It wasn't big enough to incorporate in this, but I guess we can talk about it since it is kind of involved with this. So they did make a trade with the Lancers to get a linebacker back, but the linebacker a little bit on the older end. He's 29. It's Enrique Amerstead. He's a 78 overall, but the Lancers did give up their second-round pick, but the Barons also gave up 81 overall, 27-year-old right tackle Wesley Maynard. So the Lancers improve their line. The Barons get themselves a good early pick and a middle linebacker to help secure this area in which they just lost. So and looking at the depth chart, Enrique Armstead will be an instant starter. So at least they
like I said, there could be a plan in place that I just don't see yet, and that's why every coach knows their team and knows what they can do and what they can give up. And like Rob said, I said last week, or I've said it in our own discussion, sometimes you have to be ready to take the L to get where you want to be, even if it's not the best move at the time. So there's probably something behind the scenes that Roland's got working on this one, so it makes sense in his eyes. And sort of like I said with the Bulldogs, I don't know what the point of it is yet, but there's a reason they did it. So,
and moving on to the next pick, talking about more acquired players. This is another huge name getting tossed around, and they're on the older end. But the T-Birds, they struggle with the receiver position, and they trade with the Cougars. They give away their first-round pick. It was a mid-round first-round pick. And, London Lions on the older end of age and everything, but very solid receiver. Thunderbirds really struggled in this position. This position this past season, we saw it took an extremely big hit on their performance in games. But London Lions now to the T-Birds. I got some tape running here just to show you just how dynamic this old guy is. I mean, he took a regression and he barely took anything. He was he Rob, a 91 before he took regression?
Yeah, it should be. It was 91, 88 now.
Now he's an 88 overall. He's up there in age, probably going to get could end up only getting a year out of him. But, could be maybe at least 2. But London Lions, this guy, absolute monster. T-Birds, this is going to be their number 1 receiver right now. What's you guys' thoughts on that? And do you think he's going to have as productive a season as he's had with the Chicago Cougars?
Well, first off, I'd like to say that, the guys in the chat were saying that, Rob, you should produce my upcoming mixtape.
Oh yeah,
but after hearing about this, man, like I don't know if I want you producing that mixtape for me, man, because you sort of like backstab me with this move.
Yeah,
you just go ahead and trade this guy to the enemy, and now I got to deal with him. But
you ain't telling what you wouldn't did though.
What I do?
Yeah, you wouldn't gave Frankie Weathersby.
Hey, you know what? Things happen, and this was a reaction from this move right here. So.
No real friends in the RFL, guys.
But I do think that obviously it's a huge pickup for the Thunderbirds, and I think that it's going to bode well for them. But I don't know if he's going to have as big of a impact on the Thunderbirds as he did with the Cougars, simply for the fact that he's regressing, he's getting older, but he also has a lot less weapons around him now. He had a really good supporting cast in Chicago, and unless something drastic changes, I don't know if he's going to have the same caliber of a supporting cast in Toronto. And add that with him getting older. Not that he won't be he'll be bad. It's just I don't know if he's going to be as dominant as he was in Chicago.
Yeah, man. I feel a little bit different about this. I feel that London Lions still has at least 3 more years, and I feel that if LC3 can get this guy the ball, that he's not going to. I don't think he's going to really take much of a hit. I think he'll sign again. The issue is that he probably is going to want a lot of money. With that said, I was reluctant to trade him, but I was not going to sign him back. He's on his 1 year this year, the interesting paradox that we're kind of caught up here in the RFL is that it's not normal to have a 94 overall 23-year-old wide receiver on your team, and that's what I have. Right, I have a 94 or whatever overall Contavious Henderson who wants an awful lot of money, and I got some other guys to sign. Geno Gannon gonna have to re-sign him. I got some probably halfbacks I got to re-sign. I got guys I got to re-sign, and so you just got to start letting guys go. It is what it is. You can't hoard players here, without destroying your cap. And so I had to let London Lions go. As you know, I'm all about shipping guys over to the NRC, and especially when I can make it tougher for Bill over there.
Saying cool.
No, I really did not do it on purpose, guys.
I know you didn't.
It was it's a 16 overall, and I want my guy. There's a guy that I want. I'm hoping that I get that guy, but now that I have the 16 and the 20, and hopefully tonight, if my trade is approved, I might have the 23 or whatever it is, the 26, whatever it is. But yeah, I'm hoping that that I get my guy. There's a guy that I want. There's actually 2 guys that I want, and then if I get my trade through tonight, there's 3 guys I want. I'll have 3 first rounders. And I'm going to be very excited about that with where the Cougars are going, because the Cougars had some old players, man, and they got a lot of talent, and these guys are expensive, very, very expensive, So I got to do what I got to do, man. But with the removal of Woolfolk, that's freed up a lot of stuff. Lions, obviously, that's freeing up money here. We got some guys dropping off at the end of this season. It's going to free up some more. So. Hey, we're just trying to build around that guy Geno, man. And so we got to get rid of some things, but trust me, man, there's some guys out there, man, that we're gonna get to replace, and I just want to make this Cougars team just way, way more exciting. So it is what it is, man.
Yeah, and I see Eric Straughter, cornerback for the Toronto Thunderbirds. He knows that these guys need a receiver. He's asking if he was an X Factor or superstar. I believe he stayed in X Factor. So
yeah, he stayed in X Factor. Oh yeah, he's not going to regress, guys. Yeah, he's not regressing.
Killer.
No,
I want a refund.
Look. Let me tell you guys, London Lions is what I call indestructible. Right? Like there are certain players in this league that are indestructible. London Lions is one of those players. He's a high overall veteran guy. Can burn you up anywhere on the field, and he's not going to regress. Like the only way he's kind of like Dre Crowell. There's like guys like that, right? They're like he's the wide receiver of Dre Crowell, basically. Like he's not really going to ever be terrible, and so unless the game just kicks him out of here. So the Thunderbirds just got some good stock here. I just hope they can afford him because I'm pretty sure he's going to be asking for a whole bunch if he starts catching 90 passes. Next season on that team, he's going to want a lot of money. So you never know. It might end up somewhere else at 33 years of age, but we'll see.
Yeah, great addition there. At least for a season, you saw his statistic there at the bottom with the Chicago Cougars. Just under 1,000 yards, 941 yards, 66 receptions, 10 touchdowns this past season. And so just looking to try to get at least around there or even higher with LC3 and the Thunderbirds next year. We know LC3, like I was talking about, needed these weapons. And not only that, LC3 has been, more so staying in the pocket. So this could be, a huge receiving weapon to put the Thunderbirds back in contentions of being a team that they're known to be. But, of course, you got this older receiver, not sure. The future's unquestionable. So they had to go ahead and get themselves a younger receiver as well. They didn't take take an older guy here. They went out and got Juan Chaney from the Portland Snowhawks. Gave up their second-round pick. So their first and second-round picks have been traded, and they get themselves 2 receivers who are experienced and, capable within this league. And Juan Chaney, I put out a post about him as well. We got some more tape to show this as well. They also got a 4th-round pick along with that. But Juan Chaney, he spent 3 seasons with the Snowhawks. His best season was his rookie season. He had over 700 yards, over 750 yards that season. But it seems like his production just went down even more as the years went on. This past season, he even had less yards. I think like 304 yards, something of that magnitude. So really was not too much of a factor. But he came up in big moments for the Snowhawks. And, this is a young guy as well. I believe he's 25. He's a 78 overall, a lot of potential. And so this is a young guy that the Toronto Thunderbirds can build on. And so what is your guys' thoughts on also acquiring Juan Chaney to go along with London Lions?
I think it's something that was overdue for about 2 years now for the Thunderbirds. This is exactly what the team has needed for a long time since they've been, since they jettisoned off all of the big time receivers they had on the team. And yeah, they take a hit on this year's draft, but with a team that's loaded like that, you don't always need a lot of draft picks. You don't need 10 guys coming in. You need certain roles filled, and that's all you really care about. And this is exactly what they needed. If there was one weak spot that they had at this point, it was receiver. And they obviously addressed that with very aggressively this offseason. So I like it.
They're going to be interesting.
Yeah, man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, no, that was all I was saying.
No, it must be nice to just give away 24 overall wide receivers, man, to the Thunderbirds. But that's just the kind of stuff the NRC guys do, man. So, it is what it is, man.
What you talking about, Mr. Lions giveaway?
Yeah, well, I'm on the ARC, and I gave away a 32-year-old. It's different. But yeah. So hey, that's what he wanted to do. What did he get, a second-round pick for him?
Yep, second round. They got a fourth in Juan Chaney, and they just gave up their second-round pick to the Snowhawks.
Yeah, gotcha. So yeah, if that's what he wanted to do, man, it's awesome. Hey, go for it. Hope he gets his guys in the draft.
Yeah, so that receiver spot definitely aggressively addressed, like Bill said. Another big trade here. We had the Celtic Tigers picking up a wide receiver. This is an area they got great receivers, but they are aging. Matt Niani has taken regression. DJ Burrow has really started taking regressions for at least about 2 seasons now. And the only receiver that they really have left that's bound to take over was, I believe, is Cam Rux. And, he's a 76 overall, not built to really be an outside receiver. So they had to go out and get themselves a receiver. So they decided to trade away their first-round pick and their fourth-round pick to the Toronto Huskies to acquire Ross Deerdorf, wide receiver for the Huskies. We already know the Huskies wide receiver room was stacked. They get themselves an 80 overall, 24-year-old wide receiver to look to build in the future once, Niani and Burrow is gone. But he will be in that starting role in the outside. And it looks like Cam Rux will be taking a back seat as the second slot guy. And now DJ Burrow, instead of playing outside, will now be in the slot. So what's your guys' thoughts on that?
Man, it must be nice to just be able to give away 80 overall, 24-year-old receivers, but I guess that's just what you do when you're in the ARC, huh?
Yeah, you know what I gotta say to that, Bill? That's all Smitty. That ain't nothing to do with the ARC, man. That's admin powers right there, man. Hey, look,
Smitty's like that guy who has like every team, and he's just like, hey, you know what? I want this guy on that team, and I want this guy on this team. I'm gonna go and just switch them around real quick.
So you say that, right? But this is the Huskies we're talking about here. Their oldest receiver is 28, and these guys are 90s. And they got Isaiah Streets. So if you're looking at that, it's going to be a while before they even put or even need another receiver at fourth.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Hold on, Bill. Let me tell you the quote from Justin Jones, man, in voice chat. And I'm gonna have to beep out the part he said. He said, "Who the beep is Ross Deerdorf?" that's what Justin Jones said in the voice chat when he jumped in there. But he had a little beep, jumped in there to the Discord. He said, "Smitty, who the beep is Ross Deerdorf?" and Smitty's like, "Oh, you don't know who Ross Deerdorf is? What are you talking about, my guy?" Smitty's just going down and giving all the stats and everything. And Justin Jones, I don't know. Justin Jones is just like I don't know if Justin Jones would like this trade here, man. But yeah, but
Justin Jones, he's the quarterback here. I'm trying to Gets
Yeah,
you with
yeah.
some
For like 2
weapons
minutes,
here.
and he's already making
Yeah.
demands like he's Tom Brady.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He's out here like Tom Brady. He's like, Ross Dierdorf. I don't need no Ross Dierdorf. Meanwhile, he's trying to trade Craig Buckley out here. He swears Craig Buckley is Jerry Rice.
Oh,
And, I hope he hears this and just shakes his head right now, man. But yeah. It's a solid. I think it's solid for both teams. I like Ross Dierdorf. Well, I don't like Ross Dierdorf. I don't like what he did to Keanu Jones last season. But I got a feeling that's why Smitty traded him, because he bagged Keanu Jones in that one play, and everybody went crazy, even though we were blowing him out. And yeah, you get it, man. But yeah, Celtic Tigers, solid move here. Great wide receiver, and should be an interesting year next year.
So that's it for what we have with the big moves that we had to talk about to cover. Well, is it? No, that can't be it, because I thought I had the Explorers on here.
Oh, look at you. Not talking about the Explorers.
wow,
What a
I
surprise.
didn't have those uploaded, man. That's crazy. But let's have you explain that. So what moves, because I thought I had those loaded, man, but what moves did you make?
I said he's been doing this to my team for years. He didn't even put the graphics in.
Yeah,
But
you put the graphics.
talk about the moves you made to get to the spot that you are. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move to the draft order. We see you now have the number 1 spot. What moves, how did you get to the process from going to number 29 all the way here to the first pick here in the draft?
Okay, so we obviously started off with pick 29, and
Actually, no. It started off with a knife.
oh, with the knife.
Yeah, a sharp blade. Okay,
And,
go ahead.
So, I ended up getting the first trade done with the Sentinels to move up to 12, and we ended up giving up our first 3 picks, so our first, second, and our third round pick for just the first round straight up. And we were at 12, and I had a meeting with the guys that help out on the staff, and I was looking at where our mock drafts were going, and I really wasn't confident that we were going to get one of the players that we have high on our board at that position. And I really wanted to make sure that if I'm going, all in on this draft, that I'm at least getting one of the players that I have really high on my board. And so that's when we ended up working out a deal with you, Smitty, on the Armadillos to trade away our starting guard, Craig Black, our young 79 overall corner, Carlton Baines, that we drafted a few years back in the 3rd round, and our 12th overall pick in the 1st round to the Armadillos in exchange for the number 2 overall pick and a 4th rounder from the Armadillos, just because of the amount of capital that I was giving up to move up 10 spots. It was funny. Some people thought I didn't have to pay a whole lot, but apparently a 23.79 overall corner is not a 1st round talent. But anyway, we'll leave that alone. Then I'm sitting here at 2, and I just started hearing too many murmurs about, maybe somebody's coming up, maybe somebody's not, maybe somebody's taking this guy. And I really am not a big fan of not knowing what's going on. I don't like that. I like having some type of control, which is why it's weird that I like the draft so much, because you really don't have control. And then we made our final move, which was a very simple discussion between us and the Wizards, who held the number 1 pick while we were at the time with the number 2 pick. And I gave them a mid-round, a 4th round pick to basically just swap positions and secure that we can pick the one player that we want, whoever we want to have. And that's the story of how that happened. It all came together very fast, and I'd say in about a 3-day span. But yeah, I'm happy we did it. We took we gave up a lot of our draft capital to do it. We had a lot of picks before all of these trades, but we're down now to I think just 7 picks altogether. And I would do it again 100 times to be able to pick whoever we want at the top of this draft.
Yeah, some big power moves right there. And of course, you got the Bulldogs here. you guys were at the number 2 spot, but of course that was switched over to the Wizards, like you said, and it was the Wizards who made a trade with the Bulldogs. As the Bulldogs now jump up to the number 2 spot, they just got these 2 big name free agents in Jay Morris and Duke Pascal, and you can see here on this list, these guys also got 3 first-round draft picks. One in this at number 2, one at number 11, and the other one at number 31. And so, with looking at all this hype surrounding the Bulldogs, with those big signings, now with 3 first-round draft picks, I believe they're maxed out at 12 picks now in the draft. So what is your thoughts just on the Bulldogs here with their power moves that they've been able to make?
They've just been on a tear, man. A lot of trading of players, a lot of draft picks getting moved. It's been hard to honestly even keep up with. They must have a couple players in mind because they did a whole lot of moving around to get these couple of picks, and they got to hit on them. That's really what I see out of it. They got to hit on them.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and spill the beans, Smitty. Can I spill the beans? How this all happened?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So, Coach Reed, we love you, man. Coach Reed, about a week ago, Coach Reed, man, he had a little episode, man. He in the coaches' lounge and everything, throwing coffee on coaches and stuff. Mad that teams are better than his, saying that the Bulldogs, they can't prosper because we got too many good RFL teams, and the rich get rich and the poor get poor, and he's out here begging for change and begging for bread and bread and butter and wanting beans and everything. He's just sulking and crying. It's just all this water everywhere, and Mitchie trying to mop it all up, man. And so Coach says, hey, man, I'm just mad. He's mad, right? And Smitty says, let's get in a voice call. So we get in a voice call. Everybody's in a voice call, and Coach gets in there. He's just talking about how the RFL is not competitive and the Bulldogs can't go anywhere. And it's just a terrible league for him, and we need to change some rules. And I told him, I said, hey, man, you got to be more aggressive. The word of the day is aggressive. You haven't been aggressive enough. And I tell you, man, I don't know what kind of fire I lit up under Jacob Reed, man. But Jacob Reed, overnight, transformed the London Bulldogs into the Patriots now. And these boys are kind of sort of looking like Cozier. I'm going to have to start calling. We got Bill Bozira here, and we're going to have Reed Ozira here, man. These guys.
You put that name on me.
Yeah, I'm putting up both of y'all on there because the way y'all moving, these guys move aggressive, man. These guys have really changed the dynamics of the draft. Throw out all the spreadsheets. Dudes don't quit because they thought that they weren't going to be able to go in the first round. And these guys done totally destroyed the mock draft. You just forget the mock draft. Just throw that out somewhere, man. Go blow your nose with that. It's over for that. They done changed the whole scope and everything here, right? That's what we're trying to tell y'all, right? So, yeah, Jacob Reed, man, I had to blow him up just now, man. But Jacob Reed has totally set the first round on fire. And he's got a lot of talent on his team now. And a week later, right? How ironic is that? A week later, we're talking about the London Bulldogs competing for a Reload Bowl when he was in the back crying, sobbing. Put the bottles in the chat, guys. Go ahead and put the bottles for Coach Reed in the chat. Well, man, oh man, I tell you, man, I woke up. I don't know what got into Reed, man. He just went crazy. I'm looking around. I'm looking around trying to catch up. I'm still trying to get another. I'm still trying to get a trade through, man. And he done changed the whole scope of the podcast. He got all the Bulldogs out here, all in every column here, and it's crazy, man. It's madness. It's no God. What he got? He still has 12 picks.
Yeah, 12 whole picks.
Correct. 12 whole picks. Boy, oh boy, those Bulldogs.
I got quite a bit of stuff that Reed sent over to me when I asked him some questions today. I don't know if you want to go over all that now or if we should do that.
Oh yeah, we can go
later. All right, so Reed likes to talk. He has a lot of opinions, and so this is going to be a little longer. But there's a lot of good information because I obviously had quite a few questions about what transpired in London this offseason with all the craziness. So let's just get right into it. So I asked him about the offseason. After a disappointing season, was it the plan to have such a drastic change, or was this sort of a result from the season? So did he always have this plan of just completely blowing up the team and changing things over all year, or was this a reaction from the the nosedive the team took throughout the season. And he said, we didn't plan to start out with such drastic moves, but when we were evaluating the team after the season, we started to get an idea of what our plan should be to address certain positions of need, and we initially felt comfortable with where we were and our ability to fill positions through free agency and the draft. However, as free agency came around, the realization sank in that we wouldn't have as many chances at big free agents, and that we have as many chances at big free agents that we had been planning for. Some free agents signed back with their teams, leaving the free agent pool a little thinner than was factored into our original plan. Seeing this and knowing that we may not necessarily fill those positions that we were hoping to, ultimately triggered the aggressive moves that everybody has seen so far. And about those moves, I also asked him, all of this started off with the big announcement, that both Jay Morris and Duke Pascal decided to join the team, both big ticket free agents, both choosing London. And I asked him, did you have a good feeling that both of them would come aboard, or was it a waiting game? And how do you feel about them joining the team? And do you think that they're going to help you turn this thing around? And he said, I knew pretty early on. This is the part that confused me, because I remember we talked to Jay, and Jay said he was almost an aviator. But here Reed says that he knew pretty early on in free agency that Morris was going to be a Bulldog. So I don't know which one of them is fibbing, but one of them is. And he reached out to us quickly to make his intentions known. Pascal was more of a waiting game until signing day, and we believed we might miss out on his talent. When we learned that Duke was set to be a free agent after the season, we focused our offseason plan around acquiring him. So it seems like the Bulldogs wanted him from day one as soon as it was announced that he might not return to Toronto, and focused the whole offseason on getting him. And they were extremely fortunate to get both of those players to London, and fully believe that this is going to set them up for success in the coming seasons. Duke is going to be the centerpiece of the plan, like I said, and is crucial to this team going forward. And we're looking to add some veteran presence to a backfield that can expect a lot of work this coming season. There was a couple more questions here as well. I asked, you've been involved with a lot of trades this offseason and find yourself with 3 first-round selections, 2 of which are in the top 15. What caused the drastic movement of your draft picks and acquisition of the extra ones? Was it the other teams moving, pieces that you felt you could not address in free agency, or just to rebuild things as quickly as possible? And he said, when I took over this team, I knew that the rebuild or retooling would take a few seasons. The decision to make these moves this offseason was driven primarily by 2 factors. Number one, we knew that there was a significant chance that we may not get the free agents we need to fill the spots, and we don't feel like this team is many players away from becoming successful. Therefore, moving up in the draft to gain impact starters became a primary focus. Number 2, we landed one of the big name free agents. That was our key plan. It turned up the intensity even further. We know we have a real shot to make this team very good after those signings, and that's partly what drove us to keep pushing for better picks.
All right, well, that's
Whole lot of stuff.
Oh, you still got? Oh, that was it, or you?
Nope, there's still one more question.
Okay, let's go hear that. Let's hear that.
And this is the one I was the most interested in, because we had, some rumblings about it, and obviously some games where Mr. Timmy Merritt was not involved, and Dre Lawson is his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dre Lawson
played in his place, and I said, out of all the moves this year, we have yet to see you make a move at the quarterback position. And everybody saw the up and down year that Merritt had. Is there a chance that he is not the starter this season, or do you feel that with all the change around him, that it could give him a few more years to push this team back into contention? And he said, I'm going to be completely candid here. There is definitely a chance that Merritt might not be the starter this season. However, one goal of making this is to allow us flexibility in what we do at the quarterback position. Adding to the team in the ways that we have has made it much easier to give Merritt another chance, and we feel that we could focus on the run game and take some of that weight off of his shoulders. Building up our defense will allow more opportunities to keep games close, and again, take some more weight off of his shoulders. Additionally, we don't feel like we have to sign, trade for, or draft a quarterback. We won't pass up the opportunity to get a young guy we like if they're there at the right pick, but the players may end up developing behind Merritt as well. Ultimately, this one boils down to is giving ourselves the chance to go in different directions, and we don't like to be stuck without options. And that was it.
Can I say something, man?
Mm-hmm.
This is only my opinion, and everybody don't throw stones at once.
Oh, we're throwing stones.
I'm gonna tell you right now, man. The Bulldogs with this second overall pick, man. They look. I get it. Go ahead and get Jermaine Taylor, man. Go ahead and get him. Go ahead and get him, man. You know, because I think that would be a great pick. But I'm gonna tell you right now, though, with what the Bulldogs have without Jermaine Taylor, they still have a solid defense. And if they really, you know, I get it. He's high on Timmy Merritt, man. He's high on Timmy Merritt. Look, he wasn't getting it done for you. You talked about that before. Dre Lawson, we already know he's just not ready. Look, man, you could easily go and get a guy right now, the future of the franchise. You could get him right now. You could get him at 2. Get him. And I bet you that team is gonna ball, man. I'm telling you, man. But that's just my opinion there. JT would be an awesome addition. I think he'd be an awesome addition to the Bulldogs. But at the same time, I think that you could get you a future quarterback and not have to worry about Timmy Merritt and Dre Lawson anymore. And that's just my opinion there.
Man, I need a minute to catch my breath after all that talking I just did.
Well, I believe. Let me see the next segment here. So, yeah. So that's. So this is the current draft, board right now, and like Rob was talking about, there's still some trades that could possibly shift things, with the this first round order. But just looking at this, look at the difference in comparison to this and the mock draft in which the guys had.
Yeah.
Hold up.
Yeah,
I thought I had the.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Okay, I gotta click it, but yeah. So this was the comparison to the mock draft.
Go ahead and get a bill. Go ahead and get a bill, man.
It's crazy.
I
man.
told y'all Lito Loso going 9th round, man. Yeah, what's bad with y'all, man?
So so you can see all the changes in which that's happened. So this was the previous order. Some of this was off too because we didn't have the original 32 set, but yeah, this is definitely different now from what we've been hearing. Of course, Coach O'Brien will be working on a mock draft 2.0 with I believe this, and of course it's about to change up possibly. To today, got some more trades to look through to try to approve. So look forward to another mock draft coming out from him and Forbes and those guys. So but yeah, you can see a difference. This is why you don't want to be like Mr. Fowler and roll out based
Roll
off
out.
of stuff like this.
Roll out.
Crazy.
We rolling.
Yeah. So
Man.
that's all we got to say right there. And for the last part of this is we're going to go ahead and talk about, of course, the RFL draft. And let's go ahead and talk about the positions that have been released with the combines. So we'll go through each one that was released. First, starting out with the quarterbacks. That was the first one voted on to get through. Jeremy Moore led all quarterbacks in the 40-yard dash and a 4.42 out of Nebraska. In the bench, he had a tie between John Bales out of LSU and Joseph Casares at Texas with 21 bench reps there. Vert was the highest from Luke Poor with a 36.3. He had David Quijada with the best broad jump, 10-1 out of Ole Miss. Daryl Johnson taking a placement here. A lot of guys probably thought he was going to be top front runner with that 40-yard dash, but he is the front runner here in the 20-yard shuttle with a 4.21, and then the 3-cone drill, Javon Warren, 6.78 from out of Auburn. Is there anyone that you're as I go through these, is there anyone that you were shocked in terms of who was leading in these categories or anything of that nature?
I was surprised to see Jeremy Moore up that high, in my opinion. Not that he's not fast. I just, like you said, with Daryl Johnson and some of the other guys that we saw taking off all the time, I was expecting somebody like that up there, but to see him, sit on top of the board, that was pretty surprising to me.
Somebody that I just kind of forgot about was Javon Warren, man.
Yeah.
Man, I totally forgot about Javon Warren out in Auburn. When I saw that, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not drafting a quarterback, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I'm not, definitely. But yeah. Yeah, I forgot about Javon Warren, man. There was like so many players though, Smitty, man, in the college series that we saw, and I always just remember that game in overtime with Javon Warren. Uh, man, big time game, yeah, that's somebody that I saw there, and I was kind of surprised too with the bench press ability of Casares. I knew Bells was kind of strong, but Casares, man, we didn't talk awful lot about him, and so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And so the next ones voted on was the running backs, and leaders in this. Cam Perkins blazed a 4.26, leading all running backs in the 40-yard dash. Then you talk about being surprised by a 40 time. The bench press, yeah, Jakari Torres, the Corolla, out there benching 31 times there out of USC. You had in the vert Thomas Didymus with a 38.2. And this is a smaller guy with bounce. You've seen a lot of special things out of him. And at the broad, we had James Feldman, a 10.7. Then the 20-yard shuttle, you had Cleon Markman out of Iowa, 4.12. And Jakari Torres leading in another event in the 3-cone drill with a 6.81.
That 3-cone was really surprising to me. Wasn't surprised by the bench, and I really wasn't surprised by anything else. I knew that the 40 would be probably, Perkins or Amir. I'm not surprised to see Markman up here or Didymus. But Jakari Torres getting the fastest 3-cone, that was surprising to me considering the type of back he is.
Yeah, I know we had a little Discord rivalry and everything with Torres, and the whole Corolla situation came out of that, man. But yeah, Torres, I thought at USC, man, was a solid back, and I think it makes sense for him to have the highest bench press because this guy was just a train, man. And he had some decent footwork on him as well. So I thought that that was pretty awesome to see that, and excited to see where Jakari goes. That's just one of those good storylines, man. Because you guys, if you don't know Jakari Torres, like he used to be. I'm not sure if he's in the chat as much anymore, but he used to be like you guys are now, like every day in the chat. Yeah, he was heavy, man. He was heavy, and he had his little things go happen to him and stuff like that. But he was very, very active and was at all the games. And his player became very popular just off that alone. So it's just going to be exciting just to see where he goes, and hopefully he comes back to the Discord.
Yeah, I'm really surprised with Didymus though, bouncing at 38.2 vert though.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Small guy getting up there. But moving on, the next voted on position, the wide receivers. Fastest 40 time for them, Luis Cardenas at a Texas A&M, also blazing at 4.26. Then in the bench for wide receiver had Grayson Perkins benching 23 times there out of Miami. And the vert and the broad jump goes to Darius Hodge out of Michigan. He had a 38.6 in the vert, and in the broad a 10.7. He had a tie in the 20-yard shuttle between Jose Zavala out of Oregon, who ran a 4.15, and Grayson Perkins, who had the highest bench, also ran a 4.15. And you see another Miami boy here, Deshaun Jones, leading in the 3-cone drill with a 6.71. Is there anybody you're surprised that you did not see on this list leading in one of these categories?
There's a lot of guys I'm surprised aren't on this list, to be honest with you.
Yeah, all of them.
The only reason Hodge is up here twice with the jumping is because this dude had to get so good at jumping to try to catch those balls that he just naturally got better over the course of the year.
Hopefully he's gonna be doing some long jumping into the end zone because we know he needs to get into that. What in the world?
I thought it was
an Olympic runner here.
Like Luis Cardenas, though, to be able to get the fastest 40. Some of these kind of things are gonna make or break a draft for these guys. Not like the guys like Chris Braun and Winkleman and Pavel Frederick and all of these guys that we know. Christian Williams and Chidoy Bolijak, they're gonna get drafted. They're going to. But these guys, the guys that maybe didn't get the most looks, didn't get the most targets, when they can show that they have the, physical skills like this, it gives them a chance to to maybe latch on to, a mid-round pick or something along those lines, or get in front of coaches that wouldn't have given them the time of day prior because, they didn't see him making big plays in the series all the time.
And the next position on combine times was linebackers. The middle linebackers leading the 40-yard dash had Khalil Grayson out of LSU of 4.53. In the bench, Jedediah Richardson out of West Virginia, 33 bench reps. You had Jacob Reed leading in both the vert and the broad, just like Darius Hodge in the previous one with the wide receivers, had a 36.4 in the vert, and it's actually a three-way tie in the broad jump as they all jumped 10-7s, as of course it was Reed, you got Josh Hardy out of Miami, and Wesley King out of Tennessee. Good broad jump stairs from those linebackers. Charles Turner out of Alabama takes the agility drills of the 20-yard shuttle and the three-cone drill. In the 20-yard shuttle, he had a 4.91, and in the three-cone, a 6.91. I honestly, looking at this, was not too surprised at where most of these guys ended up in terms of their 40 times. Well, not the 40 times, in terms of their placements. Were you guys?
I knew that Charles Turner was a great linebacker, but I just didn't know he was that quick. If that makes sense. I felt like he was, I don't know, maybe it was just because, didn't he wear like a 90s number?
Yeah, he did wear like a 90s.
Yep, see, I automatically assumed he was slow.
Yeah, I kind of like I think all these guys deserve to be definitely deserve to be on this combine results here. I'm actually really interested in the Jacob Reed that linebacker because I know there's a lot of competing linebackers obviously, but I just felt like with calling the games, man, Reed he was just everywhere, man. He's like, like on the blitz, he was covered in the zone. He was just everywhere, man. He played. So I'm really interested to see, how his player pans out and where his player goes. I think that should be pretty awesome. See that storyline.
In the last two combine results, we got the outside linebackers that came out along with this leader. So in the 40-yard dash, we had James Axel out of Texas, 4.58. You had the bench tie between Rip Montez and Ryan Thompson. Thompson out of Oklahoma had 29 reps between those two. And leading in the vert and the broad, once again, Jaquan Taylor-Luby, 35.4 vert and a 10.6 broad. And he had a tie in the 20-yard shuttle between Alfred Walker with a 4.47 and a 4.47 as well from UCLA's linebacker Jacoby Ozay. And Notre Dame's linebacker Glenn O'Callahan led in a three-cone drill there with a 6.96. Anything you guys got to say about this? Or
did we set it up to have the most Irish name on the Fighting Irish?
O'Callahan.
Glenn O'Callahan.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Just fit.
No, but these guys are all, for the most part, guys you expected to see up here. I am a little surprised, though, at James Axel's 40 dash. For him to be the fastest out of all of the guys that were in the series.
Yeah,
that was definitely surprising to me. He had a great combine. I'm not surprised to see Alfred Walker up here, and for the rest of them, it's not something that's so crazy. But I was surprised to see Axel as the number one for 40.
Yeah, I didn't have much about this one either, man. The same kind of sentiment as Bill about Axel. But they just let where these linebackers stand. So,
and the last combine times to go over that was just released today is for the cornerback. So leading in the cornerback results, we had in the 40-yard dash Xavier Eves, and out of USC, Deshaun Abbas ran a 4.29. And in the bench press, Samaj Jarrett, 23 bench reps at the cornerback position there. Babadook leading in the vert and the broad. Had a 40.1 vert. I think that's the highest vert, at least currently right now, in the combine. Could be the highest, period. And then the broad jump 10.7, he jumped as well. Xavier Eves takes home another category in the 20-yard shuttle with a 4.13. And then in the three-cone drill, you had a generic cornerback here, Dwayne Reddick out of Tennessee with a 6.73. Anything you guys shocked with here?
I'm not shocked to see the corners that are the fastest, but I was shocked to see how fast they were, especially having two of them under 4.3. I'm not surprised with Samaj Jarrett. To see that he's the strongest, that makes sense to me. Babadook is a guy, he's been making a splash, I think, to me this offseason when it comes to his combine, and obviously he was a pretty good player throughout the series, but a guy that I don't think gets enough recognition as compared to some of the other corners that are in this series.
Yeah, I was shocked to see Samaj Jarrett with the bench press, man. I thought he was getting bodied out there. I don't know, man. I got to go back and check the tape again. But I could have sworn this was the guy that was, man, one game I remember he was just like, man, somebody was working him. I don't know who it was, man, but it was like every time I looked up, touchdown, his side of the field. So that's going to be interesting to see there. But so that was a shocker there. This guy Babadook here, I found out about him a little kind of like midway through the season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
that was subtle.
Yeah. Oh, subtle. It was subtle. Okay, so it's subtle. All right. Yeah. Good. Hey, Baylor guys got to get me straight, man, because that one of those guys. I don't know about that guy, man. but yeah. Okay, so it was subtle. Okay, cool. So it wasn't so much. All right, good. But yeah, and obviously, Eves here, and the Bass definitely say solid players there. I don't know much about Dwayne Riddick.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't know much about that guy. So
he played on Tennessee.
I played on Tennessee. so yeah.
Yeah, so that's the current up-to-date combine time results that's been revealed. I'll be posting a vote after this stream sometime. If not, it'll be in the morning, but I'm definitely going to look to do sometime after this podcast. But the last thing to talk about is, of course, the draft. And
I did want to throw in a little nugget here that I found out when I was looking through the combine stuff before.
Okay.
We have some speed coming in this year with this draft. I was going through the receivers, and you guys want to take a guess at how many receivers we have in this draft that are 4.39 or below?
How many?
25.
Yeesh. There's 57 receivers, I believe, also.
So about half of them have less than a 4.4 40 time. That's nuts.
Crazy. Yeah, they were burning in the series, though. They were definitely burning in the series. So about the drafts, not really too much I want to talk about here. I just want to go ahead once again put out the estimate date. We're looking to try to have the draft take place on the 22nd of this month.
23rd, you mean?
You sure?
The 23rd is a Thursday.
Okay, so the 23rd. I've been telling dudes the 22nd. So
I'm pretty sure. Let me check my calendar here, but I'm pretty sure. No, you're right. I'm wrong.
Okay.
I've been telling everybody the 23rd. Jeez, Louise. No, 22nd.
All good. Well, the 22nd is when we're really trying to push to get the draft to take place. So guys, just have your calendars, pretty much marked down for that. I'm really not trying to look to push it back any further than that. The only way that does happen is if some things get out of hand and it's not done by that time. But I do not have a feeling that will happen. So be prepared for the 22nd to be the date in which we will have the draft. I already talked about the mock draft that Mitch is going to be working on, Forbes and those guys. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have about the draft here. And the last thing, we didn't do fun facts with Pat last time. So we're going to go ahead and just finish off with that and call it a stream. So first question here, what we're going to do also is I'm going to have it be 500 each question if they get it right. And if they don't get it, or if they do get it, then he gets half of 250. So first question here. In season 6, there are 21,000-yard rushers in the RFL. Of the 21 backs who ran over 1,000 yards in season 6, who had the most yards per carry?
Okay, we have Louis Cardania says Tavion. CP says Kenny Steele. Regier says Axel.
I would give it away, but
Oh, don't give it away. This isn't that hard of a question. Leo's because DJ Scott.
I honestly don't think anybody's going to get it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Come on, guys. Think outside the box. Reed says Bobo.
Nope.
Reed, you can't play. Qbox says Shivers.
Nope.
CP comes back with McDonald from the Snowhawks.
10. Nope.
Ooh, Purple Haze TV says
9.
Gino Gannon.
Nope. 8.
Kadron Lusk.
7.
Trey Worsley.
Nope.
David
6.
Jones.
Nope. 5.
5 seconds,
4.
guys.
3, 2, 1. And the answer is
Dang.
Tom Wilson, quarterback of the Shamrocks.
Wow.
He averaged 9.9 yards per carry at quarterback and was a 1,000-yard rusher. Became the third in RFL history to join along with Jabri Jackson and Joseph Gidley. So let's go ahead and move on to the next question. So Pat gets 500.
Bank. Manage.
Wait till he does that, then I'm going to go ahead.
Why? You think I'm going to forget?
I don't know.
You can say it. I'll forget.
I guess. So,
All right.
Are you good?
Yeah.
All right, bet. All right, next question. Question number 2. DeMarco Landolt had 98 tackles last year, most in the RFL. Who finished second behind DeMarco Landolt for most tackles in season 6?
Okay, we have Duke Pascal,
Mm-mm.
Will Folk. I'm assuming he means Will Folk.
Mm-mm.
Coach Beck, why are you trying to play? Come on. Jiren Gray,
Mm-mm.
Charles Raymond,
Nope.
Isaiah Ingram,
Nope.
Antoine Muldrow,
Nope.
Douglas,
Nope.
Tim Pennington,
Nope.
Roland Carter.
Nope.
To buy draft picks? Coach, you need to go read that handbook again, man. What do you mean buy
10,
draft picks?
9.
Parnell?
8.
I don't know who Parnell. Jack Brown, Parnell.
7.
Garrison Ash,
6.
Reggie
Nope.
Craig, Jesse Newhouser.
5. 4.
Come on,
3,
somebody get it.
2, 1, and it is Tyrone Dugans, the Bison's linebacker, had himself 88. And I think this should be worded because honestly, if you look, did you look on Daddy Leagues for this, Pat? Because if you did look, he definitely didn't have. This says finished second behind Landolt for most tackles.
Maybe he meant solo tackles.
It's probably he probably meant solo, but that wasn't in the question.
So am I still give him $500?
Yeah, give him 250 for that. It gotta be worded. Gotta be worded better.
Ooh. Got a discounted payout.
And we will go now to the final question of the day. And this is Marshall Leli led the RFL in season 6 with 113 receptions. Leli finished 5th in the RFL in yards after the catch in season 6. Who had the most yards after catch in season 6?
Whoa. These are answerable questions, guys. Let's see what we got for answers. CJ Robinson, Matt Nayani.
Nope.
Amari Manuel.
Nope.
Roland Woods.
Nope.
Heath Guyton.
Nope.
Cecil Austin.
Mm-mm.
Atkins? Do we have an Atkins?
I don't even know who that is.
London Lions.
Nope.
Romeo Jackson, Carlos Luzon, Sylvester Leach, Contavious, Romeo, Cecil, Overstreet, Piku McCullough,
Nope.
Strongly,
20
Steve
seconds.
Smith, Stanley Kemfert, DeAndre Cain.
Nope. 10.
You guys are just trying to mess me up.
8.
John
7,
Cena.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Marshall Levi.
1, and
Joe Johnson. Lewis Hamilton.
Nope.
Lewis Hamilton.
The answer is a running back, and it's David Jones. David Jones had 90 receptions for 793 yards this year with 678 yards.
Oh, we was just looking at that, Smitty.
Yep.
Jeez, man, you guys are just messing with me in the chat right now.
You want to see why? You want to know why this guy won running back of the year? Just check up this guy's stats. Ridiculous.
Jesus.
But yeah, I believe that was the last one I had right there. Yeah, so that's it there for me. I think this was an older one.
All right, so we got
Yeah, that's an older one.
Manage.
Yeah, so that's it here for us. Oh, let me go ahead. You guys want to do open questions, or are you guys good?
I'm good.
Whatever works. Don't make a difference. to me.
11:06.
Yeah, so we're a little over our time here, guys. So I guess right now at the moment, and especially if I want to put the the votes out there, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here tonight, guys. Appreciate you guys who came through. If you haven't already, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the RFL. We will have a podcast on Wednesday. Probably won't be a lot there because we talked about a lot of the offseason already in this podcast. So that will more than likely be one where you can come prepared with a lot of questions to ask us, and we'll try to answer them live on the stream. But with that being said, it's your boy Smitty, RFL Commissioner and Play-and-Play Commentator, along with Rob and Bill, signing off on this week's edition of the RFL Podcast. Got one more podcast left, guys, and then I believe that's going to take us right into the RFL Draft. So make sure you guys
2 weeks.
Stay alert and get ready, man. Hope you guys are ready for this experience because it's going to be a great one, working on some great things. But until then, peace.